Countdown to Green. We sit down with the Championship 4 contenders. Xfinity Series driver Roger Carruth joins the show. And we take a look at what you're racing with at home with the Logitech G Show Us Your Rig segment. All that and more tonight on Countdown to Green.
'Cause we're invincible.
Hello and welcome to the NASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. This is Countdown to Green, and as you can see, we are live from the NASCAR Hall of Fame. Everyone make some noise, let's hear you! Yeah, you can see we have some big names, some friends, some fans right here enjoying the finale of this year's series. One driver will be crowned champ, and guess what? We're here to give you the story, to catch you up, to get you excited before the race. I'm Camille Salazar-Hadaway, and I'm here with our analysts. We have Alan Cabana, we have Brandon McCandless. How are you guys doing?
This is awesome. I'm thinking about how this all started, how we've done this series the whole time from our homes, watching on Zoom cameras, and now here we are, all together. The drivers are over here to our right for $100,000. They're going for a champion. I can't imagine the pressure, and we've got hundreds of people looking at us. I feel pressure. I can't
well,
imagine
that's
the
what
drivers.
I was just about to say. I feel pressure. The fact that I said Brandon, because Brandon, I'm sorry, but Blake McCandless, I'm sorry, the pressure is on. We have all these beautiful faces just staring at us, and we're all excited to see who will walk away.
Certainly so, Camille, and again, great to have Brandon, who was with us earlier. We wish he could be here for Countdown to Green, but Brandon Cattell, we are with you. We hope you're doing well, but absolutely the pressure is up, and this is just an incredible atmosphere that the Hall of Fame has put on for us. I can't wait for tonight.
Yeah, all right, well, we have a race ahead of us in Phoenix, and we got to see what happened at Homestead. Let's take a look.
Pace car down and in as we say, let's go playoff racing at Homestead. Spinner behind, and it is the 88 car around. Conti was near it, Strauss was near it, Novak was in the mix as well. Second yellow means second trip to pit road for a lot of your race leaders. Caution with 7 laps to go. This is the money stop. 2 tires, and up front, Steven Wilson wins the race off pit road. And green flag in the air. Wrecking behind, caution flag is out. Garrett Lowe is one of the drivers involved. And trouble behind, it's the 97 car into the outside wall. Issues for Logan Clampett. The 19 was involved as well. That is damage for Vicente Salas. Up front, Michael Guest going to be 2 car lengths short of Steven Wilson, who's going to win his 4th race of the season, and Wilson will fight for the eNASCAR title in 2022.
And now we are here looking ahead to Phoenix. We got to talk about your thoughts on Homestead. How do you think it went down?
I mean, look, winning in, right? I mean, it was all about getting to this Final Four, being one of the 4 people you're looking at, 2 of them right there to go for the $100,000. The pressure is on. It only continues to build, but that's what they race all year for, is to get to this current standing right here.
And that's exactly right, Alan. As you take a look at our playoff standings, this is pretty simple. We have really nothing to decipher, just 4 drivers left to try and race for this championship, 2 of which got there by virtue of wins. You can see Bobby Zielinski at Talladega got done in the opening round of the round of 10. Steven Wilson got it done, as we just watched at Homestead, and 2 more drivers, Casey Kerwin and Graham Boland, got in on points. But Alan, there are 2 battles going on here tonight. The cut line in the top 20 to try and stay in this series is on the line tonight. You see Ryan Luza, Donovan Strauss, Vicente Salas above that cut line. Alfala, Leahy, and Mercurio, which, by the way, 5 championships between those 2 drivers right there, and Alfala and Leahy. They are on the outside looking in. Vicente Salas is suspended for tonight, so he is going to be, I'm sure, sitting at home stressing out on whether he can get in this top 20.
Yeah, and also they're racing for, don't forget the team standings. You can see them there. Stuart Haas Racing, Jim Beaver Esports, and Team XSET all still eligible to win the team championship. Steven Wilson, of course, representing Stuart Haas Racing. Jim Beaver Esports, they don't have any drivers racing tonight, but they have a lot to race for. And, of course, Casey Curran repping the XSET. All 3 of those top teams there can still win the team championship. That means money, a lot of pride on the line. So many storylines beyond the 4 to our right, but so many storylines going on tonight for this race.
And I mean, there must be a lot of storylines because we started this earlier this year. It's been a long but exciting road, so we gotta talk about the season. Let's start with Blake. Blake, what are your overall thoughts on how this season compares to others?
Well, I remember I was on this show a year ago, Camille, and the one thing we talked about is this the end of points racing in this series? Because so much has been determined by you have to go out and win, and we saw it this year with the Next Gen car. We were promised parity in real life. We got it here in the eNASCAR side as well, and so many of these drivers had to win to get into the playoffs. So you can almost throw points racing out the window. We have 2 drivers here tonight that won their way into this round. You can see Steven Wilson. He's been the best of the bunch. 4 wins this year. So talked about it last year. That was my leading thought, kind of concluding 2021 is at the end of points racing. It is all about wins in this season. It is all about getting the job done and getting the checkered flag.
Yeah, and it's crazy how much the real world has mirrored the eNASCAR side of things.
Yeah.
When I think about all the winners that we've had, we had 19 different winners on the NASCAR side, right? We've had 9 different winners this season here just to get into the playoffs. But then you think of some of the struggling champions on the Sundays. Martin Truex Jr. having a rough year, not making the playoffs. And then you look here on our series, and you have the Keegan Leahys of the world not able to defend his championship. Ray Alfala not making the playoffs. The mirroring of the real world into the virtual world here has been something I did not anticipate. And look who we got here. Another real world driver. That is Dale Earnhardt Jr., the man the trophy is named after here tonight. He'll join us later on in the broadcast. But when we're talking mixing the real world and the iRacing world, no better example than Dale Jr. right there.
Well, I mean, giving some inspirations to the Final Four drivers there, I love to see it. For me, it definitely has to be my overall thoughts of the season. Actually, our producer, Drew, before I came in as the rookie for the series, was just like, you're going to love it. The community is great. And that's my overall thought of the season. I have not been so welcomed into this community, and being here in person and seeing all the lovely faces that help bring this series to life and help cheer on all the drivers. It's just so amazing. So I've been there trying to avoid the camera, but even like being with the crew here and everyone that's working behind the scenes.
There's Blake.
Yeah, there you are. It's just been such a welcoming environment, and really just the drive that these drivers have. I really admire. I love it all. I can't complain.
Great
I can't
stuff.
complain.
As a fellow rookie, I will echo all of your comments.
You can't steal my thoughts, Alan.
Well, I mean, we're both rookies, so you brought up a great point that I'm glad we got to do this.
All right. Yeah, I don't. You know what? I'm glad I got to do it with you.
Yeah, there you go.
Blake as
We're
well.
both
So there we
newbies.
go. So there we go. But you know what? We have so much to talk about. Alan, I do want to just fit this in there. It was great to obviously be here at the desk with you, but it was also great to win in point standings.
Yes, we had a season-long
Thanks,
competition.
I
where-
wish I could have been there with you guys, but
Well, no, I'm happy you weren't because you would have just
Yeah.
dominated the picks.
Blake,
So
Blake-
thank you, Blake.
Blake
give
is
me too
very
much
good.
credit.
Blake
Yeah.
is very good at picking winners. I was not, and you got skill or luck. It doesn't matter. You
Well-
won. You won. That's all that matters.
It is all skill here. And you know who else has skill? Graham Bolin. Huge skill. Brought him right here at the finale. So let's take a look and learn a little bit more about this driver.
It's awesome. Like, I've never been here before. I put a lot of hard work this year trying to prepare to make it the Final Four because I made the playoffs last year and I felt like I ran pretty bad, but I was still close to making the Final Four. So if I just put some finishes together, I would make it. I think these playoffs were like the craziest and most like record avoidance playoffs so far in the series. So as long as I kept on nose clean, I knew I could make it. And yeah, it's been an awesome season so far. I feel like it's less pressure. I feel like it's going to be a pretty clean race, and it's going to be whoever is going to have the pace. Because since I know that, and it's just one race, and whoever finishes better than everyone else will win, I'm kind of excited about that because like I know my pace has been there all year, especially the long run. I have usually really good cars and good handling, so and my driving's been there, so all I got to do is qualify and be fine. After I think Vegas, I had a good idea. As long as I tested X amount of hours or time, I would be near the front. So I did that. The races I struggled, I just qualified badly and then get caught up in a wreck. Or at Kansas, I was just racing too hard. I mean, it was my first time on a stage in front of people, so it was kind of a different environment, and I got excited running for the lead and made a mental error when I was 3 wide and didn't hear the call because people were screaming so loud. But once they started cheering, I felt like I drove better, as like much as that sounded, because like I wanted to win in front of the Charlotte Phoenix people, and it's going to be the same way at Hall of Fame because they're going to be there and it's going to be awesome. So I think I have an advantage. I think they're all a threat. Like Steven's been performing all well. Casey's been at his peak speed. Like I'm teammates with both of them off the track. Like we build the same car and we try to like get as fast as each other and we push each other. Bobby, he's a threat as well because I mean I don't know his speed. I know Stevens and Casey's speed, but I don't know Bobby's speed. I'm worried about them all. Like it's just like they're all the same to me. It's just like just gotta beat them all and hopefully execute on the final day. If I'm there, I'm gonna use my door, but I'm not gonna like just completely dump the guy. Like I'm gonna use a door, get him in the wall, but like obviously I won't just like full throttle him and make it look stupid and look like an idiot in front of thousands of people. Like that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to ensure that I will win, but NASCAR style, like Daniel Hemrick or something like that in the Xfinity Championship or something. Like as long, I mean it's NASCAR, you can rub. So in my opinion, as long as you rub doors, it's fine. I know they're there. I know that they're supporting me, so it just gives me more fuel to finish well. Like get that championship. Like that's the main goal, is just getting that championship, man. Like nothing else is there. Like second, third, or fourth, I don't care. I just want to get that championship, to be honest. So I just want to win it for them and just win it for myself as well. That's a lot of money. That's like life-changing money, in my opinion.
All right, you heard it right there. Gonna win NASCAR style.
Yeah, well, NASCAR style depends on which driver you're talking about. He said he didn't want to be too aggressive. With 100K on the line and that big trophy I can see right there,
Yeah.
I'd be really aggressive.
I would be too. And Graham Bolin here has done a tremendous job all season. He is one of the 4 drivers who is not driving on a direct drive wheel. Interesting, I guess, little nugget right there.
Yeah.
So he's been able to do it. You don't need the best equipment to get it done. You can make speed even with a simple setup here.
We'll see what difference that makes tonight.
Yeah, the series is for everyone, and one driver in particular has made a 5th return to the championship finale. We have Bobby Zielinski. We could have stopped talking about him as well, so let's take a look and learn more about Bobby.
I don't know if it's my best chance, but it's been a bit of a rough year. I feel like it's almost a gift that I'm in the Final Four again this year. I think just my group, Coanda and I, we're just kind of struggling getting the setup to drive the way we want it in the race. Haven't been qualifying as well, making bad decisions with taking 2 tires. That's my favorite pastime this year. It was pretty much the first 10 races of the year. It was just like mediocre, middle of the pack, maybe a little above average, just trying to figure things out, and then finally clicked. A lot of firsts for me. The rig's going to be completely different. I've never used a different rig than I have now. It's pretty big, and I'll have a couple days leading up to the event where I'm driving on it. I'm just gonna probably be stressing about like performing. Like you don't know until you're out there, but I don't give a damn about no crowd or people around me. I'm just gonna be worried about not performing well or showing up with a bad car, stuff like that. Because I used to get a lot more nervous leading up to races, just any other Coke race, for no reason. But once that race starts, it's gone, and I'm just racing, and I don't get nervous in a race. It's normal to me now, which is crazy to say. But 5 out of 6 years, it's just like another year for me. After you lose so many of these races, like we're more chill going into it. I still put that pressure on myself, and I'm like, damn it, can I do it one time? Or not. Maybe I'm just not that guy. I haven't won one yet because I haven't had the perfect combination of like the setup, driver, and decision making. Like I need all those 3 to be the best, and then I can win it. But the other side of me, the reasonable side, is like just enjoy yourself. Like you're doing this cool events. You're making at least 10 grand. This is what you do to make money. Like don't be so serious about yourself. Don't take yourself too seriously. So it'd be cool to win that first new trophy, and win the first time going to an event like this for the Final Four. It would kind of make the wait worth it. But that trophy, like that thing looks heavy, and like I don't know. I'm gonna need help from junior lifting it if I'm the lucky one. I don't know. What would you describe? Just an absolute dumpster of a season. And then all of a sudden you're in the Final Four because you snuck in on points and you won Talladega because a couple teammates decided to wreck each other. I don't know if there's a word for that. I'd say unlikely, but they gave us a shot. They let us in this damn race again. Hopefully they regret it.
Bobby, if you're gonna ask Bobby why so serious, he's gonna be like, don't be serious. Just enjoy the race. We love to see it. But we also love to see when drivers have mishaps on the track, right, Blake?
Oh, we certainly do. And we've had a couple weeks. We did this segment a couple of races ago, but we've been able to since gather enough material to at least have another one of these. This segment is called Really Dude, where we go over some interesting mistakes that these professionals tend to make every now and then. The first one we're going to start off with here at Watkins Glen International. You have Zach Novak here running through the carousel. Ray Alfala is just going to pretend he's not there. He's going to cut him off, and he goes into the barrels, and he gets stuck there. 4-time Ray Alfala with the self-clear right there through the carousel. Thought he had enough right there, and just a couple inches shy of the spotter calling clear right there. So Ray Alfala, 4-time champion. He's been a winner this season, but he's fighting to get into the series, and partly it's because of that. Really, dude?
Really, dude?
You got to know a little bit better than that. Next one up, Darlington. Back into the playoffs here. You see Dylan Alt right now, the Wendy's biggie bag machine. He is a little bit off the pace, and actually I think he had broke something. He was just trying to get to the end. Very off pace. The last thing you want to do if you're in this scenario, though, is cause an accident. You see he gets stuck on the banking right there, spins it around. Jimmy Mullis gets into him. Malik Gray comes piling in. SimSeat's the sponsor that's here that has a couple of sim rigs. They're not happy about that. Really, dude, you got to know a little bit better than that. Unfortunately, Dylan Alt looks like he'll be in the Contender Series here in 2022. Next one up, Caden Honeycutt. Great driver, has had so much success in real life. He won the Cars Tour race at Ace Speedway. He nearly won the 9th annual Rodney Cook Classic. But here at Bristol, he causes a huge accident. They're going so fast here in these next-gen cars that there is nowhere to go. And this is a wreck that didn't just start. It just kept going and going and going. So Caden Honeycutt gets near the front after a tough luck year here in this series. Come on. And then here is the reason that Bobby Zielinski is on stage right now. You have Colin Bowden looking for his first career win. You have Casey Kerwin, who we didn't know he would be on the stage right here. So they're two-car tandem right here through the tri-oval, and Colin Bowden is so set on getting this victory. This is how much winning means. They bump, they touch 3 times, I think is what I said on the call, and Bobby Zielinski, just by a nose, is able to earn his way to the stage here at the NASCAR Hall of Fame. But Casey, Colin, you got to figure it out. Really, dude.
Really? Call of the year, though. That was awesome, that finish.
It was a fantastic one. And then the last time out, Homestead Miami Speedway, Parker Retzlaff, who we've seen a number of the times, very impressive runs in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. But this is probably not one of those highlights. He has an issue. The car's breaking. He has what are in iRacing one of those meatball flags. That means you have some required repairs. So he takes the Homestead, or the road course rather, at Homestead Miami Speedway, but unfortunately cuts across this patch of grass just right up the road, and it's going to bring out a changing caution that obviously altered things as they run here at the playoffs. So really, dude, Parker Retzlaff, it's been a tough year for him, but again, he has a lot going on for him in real life. So yeah, we've had enough material over the last couple races.
We have, and I feel like we should all just do our best, really, dude.
Really, dude? Come on. A season's full of opportunities, and we covered them all there.
I can't wait for next season and the opportunities that will hold. But being IRL means that we also have some friends in the vicinity. So why don't we introduce you to one that we'll be speaking to in just a bit. Here is a little piece about Roger Kruger.
They say if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. For Raja Caruth, one of the newest faces on the NASCAR circuit, truer words could never be spoken.
I watched every different NASCAR show on television that there was out at that time, like Inside NASCAR, NASCAR Now, RPM Tonight, obviously Race Hub, Trackside Live, everything.
Growing up in Washington, D.C., and then Brooklyn, the high-speed excitement of stock car racing attracted Caruth from an early age.
It's really centered around online stuff. So not only stop motions on YouTube that creators would make with diecast cars and custom racetracks, but also racing content virtually, whether that was NR 2003 or the early days of iRacing. I wasn't really a participant, but I would watch them all the time, and just because it was so interesting to me, I was just really trying to take in as much about racing as possible. From, like you said, living in Brooklyn, living in DC, not having any sort of connections in the racing world, sim racing was my only opportunity to get noticed in racing. So I got my subscription on my birthday of that year, 2018, and literally, like, within the same week you guys had announced the Ignite series.
Caruth used the momentum from trying out for the series to motivate him on his own path in the sim.
Once the Ignite series completed in October, I think, of 2018, I just started racing on there, and just regular A, B, C fixed or national races, and it was really hard having such a steep learning curve in like a couple weeks or a couple months time frame, when this is really what I felt like my career that I didn't even start yet resided on.
Using his seat time from iRacing in 2018, Caruth applied to Rev Racing's youth development program, in which he earned the chance to run legend cars in 2019.
It was a really awesome kind of first time going into the racetrack through the tunnel and seeing everybody in the garages and seeing the car that you're going to race. And I remember when, that was my first time, I remember just thinking back in my head, like all the years of watching, old cup races over the years as a fan from at home and just wanting to be a part of it. And at the time, I didn't really think about it kind of that reflectively, but looking back at it now, it's like that was the start of getting to hopefully that point one day.
With only a single real-life racing season under his belt, but over 500 starts on iRacing, Raja applied for the NASCAR Drive for Diversity program, hoping to be one of 6 drivers selected to join Rev Racing's main operations. At the start of 2020, the results were in, and Raja had made the cut. However, the pandemic would put a pause on Raja's career plans, delaying them until later in the year.
I was able to be on here like everybody, like a lot of hours of the day. And at that time, everybody hopped on the sim, and honestly, that not only helped the legitimacy of the sim, but also my career and showing that like this is real, this is legit, this is stuff that is useful. And looking back on it, I wouldn't have changed it, because in that kind of March to July or June time span where I was really at home all day and was on the sim a lot, I feel like that really prepared me for hopping in a late model later that summer.
While it took longer than expected, Raja had made his jump into late models, racing at several iconic short tracks across the Carolinas in 2020 and making his start in the ARCA Menard Series in 2021.
A lot of times the same practices and techniques and approaches and philosophies for driving around the racetrack apply. That's really helped this year for going to new places and going to tracks that I race on here and have raced here for years, and hop in the ARCA car or the truck and can fire off pretty well. A lot of the things and the mistakes I've made and the things I've learned on iRacing have helped me be a better driver in real life, because I have wrecked a lot of people, including myself. I've also done pretty cool things on here, and so all of those have helped develop me into a better driver, I think, in real life. So for that, I'm forever grateful for the sim and for the people on it. Just because A, I wouldn't be racing in real life, and B, I wouldn't have developed to the point I am now without going through these certain situations.
The new experiences have continued for Carruth, with several starts in 2022 in the NASCAR Xfinity Series for Alpha Prime Racing and Tommy Joe Martins.
It's been a very quick journey, I think, looking back at the years. But I really look at it with gratitude, man, because I feel thankful to be alive at this point where me, a inner city kid who otherwise would never be able to get into the world of racing, had that opportunity because of something like iRacing. It's honestly really crazy. And I feel glad to have been around at this time to where this is where I started my career, because otherwise, I wouldn't be racing or being able to chase my dreams.
Beyond his own ambition, Carruth understands the importance of setting an example and being a role model for many others with the same dreams he had.
I enjoy and welcome that responsibility to kind of be an ambassador in that role, because I was that kid that watched races on TV, played with toys, and wanted to be racing on Sundays. For people that look like me, we see people on TV. Representation is so important to us, and our options are to go to the street or either make music or play sports. And so to see, representation not only on the track and on the television, but also behind the scenes is huge. And I think not only NASCAR, but iRacing has that opportunity to help usher in that process of showing people that is endless opportunities out there, specifically in the world of STEM and sim racing. To have the chance to be an ambassador and be a role model to kids out there, I really just try to make the most of that chance, because I welcome that. I feel truly honored to be in that spot, because I was that kid not even 5 years ago, sitting like at home in DC, being a total nerd, total geek, and just watching stuff and wanting to be a part of it. And so to have that chance, I'm really thankful for it. And I try every day to make the most of it and be a good representative. And, I really welcome the opportunity, and I'm thankful for it.
All right, now we've seen it, and now we have the man himself, Raja, joining us. We are so happy to have you here. As you can see, we have big names in the house.
Yeah, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Steve Letarte, Eric Almirola. A lot of winning we just saw in that picture. I think our friend here, Raja Carruth, wants to join that list of winners here sometime in the future. Let's keep it to iRacing at the moment. You are a young man, but you've seen the growth of iRacing from being a participant now to seeing this first ever live event. What's that mean to you as a competitor and just a fan of the iRacing in general?
It's huge, Alan. To begin with, I wouldn't be racing racing period if it wasn't for the sim. And so to see it have this legitimacy now, and we're at the Hall of Fame in Charlotte, like that in and of itself is pretty awesome and insane. So it's really gratifying to know them to have had a small part of it, right? But see these 4 guys, the best on the sim to come out here and compete, it's really amazing.
Well, and I know we've highlighted a lot of what we just saw in that piece, a lot of what you're doing in the real world, but you're also very active in the iRacing world. So kind of talk about what these drivers may be going through as they're trying to climb their way either through the Road to Pro ladder or being in this series itself.
Oh, it's tough. From running Road to Pro in the Pro Series last year, I ran Road to Pro this year and didn't make it out of round 2, but it's a grind, man. You got to be testing for multiple days a week for hours on end, finding every little 100th of a tenth of speed or a little bit change there or an adjustment there to just get a little bit of fraction of time or speed, because everything's the same, everything's equal on there, so it makes a big difference to be on your game.
We were talking during the piece, and you're putting yourself in their shoes right now and wondering what it must be like in this live environment. What challenges are ahead for them tonight?
Oh, it's big. I was just telling Blake, I don't know if I could do this, to be honest with you, because like when you race on your rig, right, you get so used to your surroundings, whether it's in your room or your house or your race shop or wherever it is, and you get used to those surroundings because everything on the sim is constant, and so you get used to all your surroundings, and when you plug and play and drop to a whole different building, different temperature, different sounds, even the most minute details make a big difference. So these guys are really the best to be able to just hop in and be at the top of their game tonight.
All right, well, I mean, it's such an honor to have you here. This is a real showcase of what sim racing can do.
Let's put him on the spot before we let him go.
Okay.
We're talking real world here. You got a big career going. What do we know about 2023? Where are you going to be?
Right,
what are you going to race? Now you're live in front of a few of your friends here, so you can tell us. It's okay.
Can I see that pen?
There you go.
It's that Corey posted earlier. He just did the little pen emoji, so that's my answer for you.
All right. That's a little tease.
Keeping it secret.
A little tease, but you've signed something.
I didn't sign anything.
Oh.
But I was just,
all right.
being funny. Or maybe I did now.
All right.
Keeping us on our toes.
Looking forward to seeing whatever he does in 2023. Good luck, young man.
Thank you, guys.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And you know what? I love seeing all of the successes of the series this year. So we have awards that we are going to give out. This is also brought to you by our technical director, Cisco, who really worked hard on this. So our first award is for Gas Guzzler of the Year, and this is really a difference from start to finish. So let's take a look.
This award goes to the driver who made up the most positions from where they started to where they finished during the whole season. In 4th place, driving for Letard Esports, it's Brian Mercurio with 139. In 3rd place, driving for Clint Boyer Racing, it's Nicholas Shelton with 141. And in 2nd place, driving for Joe Gibbs Racing, it's Ray Alfala with 143. And the winner of the Gas Guzzler of the Year award from Rise Esports, it's Zach Novak. The 2019 Series champion has had an up and down year, but has managed to pass at least 148 cars en route to locking himself into the series for 2023.
Zach is, pressing that fuel out, just letting it ride.
Yeah, I mean, it's always nice to win an award, but what does that mean? That he didn't qualify very well and had to pass a bunch of people? Is that what we're giving an award for?
I guess so. He was able to pass, racing 4. That's the way you always want to do it. And it was a little bit of a trying year for the series champion, who came close to winning so many times, and likely I think could have ended up on the stage if he were able to do it.
All right, well, we have another award to give out, and this one I think we're going to like. It's Paint Scheme of the Year.
These paints stood out to the judges the most during the 2022 racing season. These are the runner-ups: Brian Mercurio, Letard Esports, and their pit boss Chevrolet Camaro, which heated up the field at Nashville Superspeedway. This one got us hungry for sure, with the spec matte flame across the car. Malik Ray and his Signal Snowboards Ford Mustang, which kept things fast and flowing at Daytona. We only got to see it for one race, but we loved the extreme sports vibe to start out the season. Femi Olatunbosin, Clint Boyer Racing, and their DeKalb Genetics Ford Mustang for tonight's race at Phoenix. We love the purple sunset fade on the car, a new design for Femi as we finish off the season. And Donovan Strauss, Williams Esports, and their Duracell Toyota Camry. This certainly charged up their performance, and we love the battery motif that was carried through the design. And the winner of the Paint Scheme of the Year award, from Jim Beaver Esports, it's Blake Reynolds and his Travis Pastrana throwback Ford Mustang from Darlington. We absolutely loved the callback to Pastrana's days in NASCAR and found that this paint stood out from any other scheme this season, both from an extreme sports design, but also from the bright colors which carried over through the spec map.
And we love those bright colors. I mean, that's probably the best.
Oh yeah, we were watching that countdown before, just waiting for that paint scheme to come up because we all knew it was the winner. So I'm glad it got rightful position on top.
I love seeing those paint schemes, and again, that designers, they're kind of an untalked about factor in iRacing. That it's not just drivers or broadcasters. Paint designers are being found on iRacing. Ryan Williams for Junior Motorsports, great example.
All right, well, we have our next award. This is for Best Coke Move of the Race.
We've seen plenty of moves this year, but which one of them stood out from the rest this season? These are the runner-ups. Femi Olatunbosin, who started the season in stock, going 3 wide and holding off Steven Wilson and Garrett Maines to win at Daytona. Steven Wilson, who threw caution to the wind, blocking and holding off Bobby Zelensky for the win at the All-Star race on the streets of Chicago. And Bobby Zelensky, who with a last-second cut to the bottom, glanced past a fighting Casey Kerwin and Colin Bowden and slid his way into victory lane at Talladega. But the winner could only ever be one: Casey Kerwin and Zach Novak at Pocono. Evan, take it away.
Turn number 3, Kerwin to the inside. Novak sees it coming. Contact in the final corner. Side by side. Novak into the fence. They're still beating and banging. And to the line. Who wins the race? It's Casey Kerwin by 6 1/1000ths of a second.
I mean, I love seeing that moment. I feel like that moment is imprinted in my head.
Oh, that and the call. I mean, of course,
Yeah.
we had so many cool moments, but to put that one on there, good memories.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's going to be a finish that this series will remember. I mean, as long as it's around.
Yeah, definitely. But we also have our final award, Grand Marshal. Best Grand Marshal. Let's take a look.
We've had some special faces start off our races in 2022, but who had the best call to start your engines? These are the runner-ups. Greg Walter from Charlotte Motor Speedway. Lieutenant Colonel Dan Rooney from the Folds of Honor and Atlanta Motor Speedway. Dennis Bickmeyer from Richmond Raceway. And William Byron at Homestead Miami Speedway. But this year, the crown finally went to one of our friends from last year who came back and amped it up even more this year. It's Patrick Warren, president of Kansas Speedway.
On behalf of everyone at Kansas Speedway who worked so hard to put on great racing, drivers, start your engines!
Congratulations to all the winners. Now, when you think of this series this year, there is one driver that has been fairly consistent, Steven Wilson. Let's take a look at his journey.
Honestly, I was just super looking forward to trying to get this far so that I could get to the live stage, because I think that's just first time for everyone, and then it'll be a cool thing to be a part of no matter where I end up in the Final Four. But I think obviously the goal is still to win a championship, so I'm sure racing in front of a live audience on here for the first time, there'll probably be some nerves that'll kick in. But I think I've dealt with it all year, so hopefully I can just put that behind me and do what I do. After the start of the year I had, it was kind of looking good. I won, I think, third race out, so from then on it was just looking forward to the playoffs. Had good momentum all year, had good speed, so I just think that the momentum is built, and every track we seem to show up with good speed, so that helps. Well, the late model series was something that interested me a few years ago. I didn't really try that hard for that. Because I haven't raced that car in like 2 years, really. So, yeah, it was just kind of something I did on Mondays. And then college series, I did it earlier this year in the truck, and pretty much, I think, just showing up. The session opens, we practice for like an hour before the race. I think learned plenty from that, doing the hot laps that we do. Obviously, Coke is my number one. Practice the most for that, run tons of laps. I enjoy it. Just it's a lot of work sometimes, but I do mainly focus on the Coke series. Seeing how it's Phoenix, it's more of a short track, and short tracks for me, just any track where you're using a good amount of brake. I don't know what it is, but I am just not as good as some of the other people there. So everyone's going to be hard to beat. I think Graham is usually really good at shorter tracks. For us, he's usually the benchmark guy to go off of. So I'd say he's my number one. I think it's just putting more and more laps in, just getting used to everything will be huge. I think everyone's going to have, out of the four of us, we're all going to have an insane amount of practice between the four of us. And then getting there to the venue a few days early will also be, I'll be racing on a different place, different rigs. So I'll just get used to that, and hopefully maybe that'll see some improvement if I'll be in an actual rig compared to my desk. It's just going to be big though, starting up front. We've done mostly race things up to this point. We still have a couple weeks to get ready, so I think the Q practice, which honestly all year has been something that I've been pretty good at compared to my race pace. My Q pace has been good, so that'll definitely help ease things if I start in front of everybody else.
And the driver with the most wins on the season, you can see him practicing there on top of the board. It's got the biggest cheering section here. You can maybe hear them, the whole family, a lot of people cheering on Steven Wilson. A lot of wins for the 10 Smithfield car. Someone who else knows about winning a 10 Smithfield car. Eric Almirola from the Cup Series joining us. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great, man. What an event you guys have here. This is awesome.
That's what I want to ask about. You've been used to running iRacing, from a home rig, from the comfort of your own home. Now look at this, what we've got going on here. First ever live event, hundreds of people. What do you make of this?
Well, I just think it's a testament to how far iRacing has come, and these guys, man, they put in a tremendous amount of work and effort. I know, back in 2020 when everything shut down because of the pandemic, and we started, doing live iRacing, how much work it was for me to get up to speed. And Graham actually was helping me quite a bit. And so just to be here tonight and to support these guys and to support Steven, and he's had a heck of a year. So it's a big deal for me. Obviously, our Stuart Haas esports program is a big deal. We're proud of Steven and how well he's run this year. He's won 4 races, won the All-Star race, so he's having a heck of a year. And man, these kids, they're kids, right? They're gonna go race for $100,000. Like, that's life-changing, right? And I know Steven's going to college, so it would be a big deal for him. So just excited to come and hang out and cheer these guys on. And actually today, Smithfield made mention in a meeting that we had that they're recommitting to sponsor this program again. It means a lot to them to stay engaged with the esports community and certainly the younger demographic of our NASCAR fans. So excited about that, and just ready to watch these guys go at it tonight.
Well, you certainly know a thing or two about driving these cars. So is there any tips or advice? You ran this next-gen car at the spring in Phoenix, so anything that you could perhaps offer these drivers before they strap in and race tonight?
No, not at all. And actually, I think Steven's already top of the board in practice, so he does not need any tips from me. They actually tried to help me get up to speed. I did a lot of sim racing and iRacing when I was younger. And then, as time went on, had kids and a wife, and it was hard to be on the go and travel as much and put the time and effort that you need to compete with these guys that spend a tremendous amount of time doing it. So when we had to do it for iRacing during the pandemic, they were trying to help me, and I was unhelpable. So I don't think they want any advice from me, and I've already watched him run practice quite a bit, and he seems like he's got a pretty good handle on it.
The one area you can offer some advice is pressure in dealing with it.
Sure.
This to them, I mean, the equivalent of the Daytona 500, which you've been in, nearly won many times. How do you deal with pressure as a pro athlete?
Well, I think Steven's already doing a great job of it. I walked up there and talked with him, and just I talked to him obviously to say hey, and that I'm here and ready to cheer him on and support him, but also just to kind of get a gauge for myself on where he was at. And man, he is cool and calm and collected, and he's just kind of laid back and easy going. I think that's the right approach, right? You can really stress yourself out and get all worked up, but at the end of the day, the results are going to be whatever they're going to be, and adding more pressure than what's necessary is not helpful. It actually just causes you a lot more stress for no reason, right? You gotta practice, you gotta be prepared, and if you're practiced and prepared, it takes a lot of the pressure and stress off because you know you're ready for that moment. It sounds like he's been down here for a couple of days getting the rig all set up just like he wants it, getting the feeling of the wheel and the pedals all right for him. So he seems ready, and he doesn't seem too wigged out or too nervous. So I think he's going to be fine.
Well, thank you for being a part of this tonight. Good luck in Martinsville this weekend.
Yeah, thank you guys. Thanks for having me.
And we have our final driver spotlight to round off the final four. Casey Kerwin is going to talk about the emotions heading into the finale.
I mean, I've always had confidence, and like at times we've run really well. I felt like we could make it, but it's a very difficult task to make it to the Final Four. So it's hard to see it, but I mean, I definitely felt like, especially this year, with the speed we had, I knew we could run up front and win races and make it. This year, yeah, I had a whole lot more confidence, but I don't know if you asked me 5 years ago if I'd ever get here. I think it's just kind of been a steady progression, just getting better and better, and yeah, now we're here. You can never put it into perspective how good everyone actually is until you make it all the way to the top level. I mean, obviously it's a very serious series and there's a whole lot on the line, but if you put so much pressure and almost too much thought into it, you can kind of overthink things and stress yourself out. Even if it's going bad, if I'm upside down, we're probably laughing about it somehow to make it easier, but we try and have fun and just keep it light and like a normal race, and I think that helps a lot. And when our stuff's been really good this year and you're constantly up front and constantly fast, it also makes life a lot easier. Honestly, I feel like I'm more relieved now that I made it. I mean, don't get me wrong, I think going into it, you're more relieved. You're like, all right, we're through one round. You at least have a shot at it. But at the same time, I think once it comes down to probably race day or a couple days out from race day, you'll start probably feeling it more, what's on the line. All you can ever ask for is a shot. I think I'll be pretty relaxed going into it. Obviously, if it comes down to like a late restart and all of us are lined up for it, or if it's just a close race at the end, I think you'll be feeling the pressure. But the pressure will probably get more and more as we get closer. The Cars movie was always my favorite movie. I still just watch it a million times to this day. If I ever get bored, just need to turn something on. But like right when the movie came out was right as I was getting into NASCAR. So just kind of grown up with it. All the teams I've been on, I get thrown into a number. I was a 38 last year for Alfredo. And after, he went back to Xfinity, he was in the 23. That's obviously not available. They were like, well, let's just find a number. And so I was just thinking about it. And I was like, why not just go like full into the Lightning McQueen thing and go for the 95. And some of it too was the fact that we were running the LA Coliseum, with the whole race in LA and the movie and everything. So we just kind of leaned into it. And yeah, it's been fun. It's we got the whole the Piston Cup and everything to match the whole time we've been racing. So it's started off well with first race in the 95. We won the Clash, and yeah, it's been a really good year. So it's definitely been good luck, and hopefully we can top it off on a good note. Yeah, I mean, it mean a lot, and it's funny. I joke with people obviously the the 100 grand's awesome, but I always joke I've won some big races in iRacing and everything, but we just never quite something with a physical trophy. And for the stream background, I need some nice display piece back here. So, yeah, honestly, I'd say I care just as much as the trophy as the money, if not a little bit more. Yeah, it'd mean a lot, just all the effort over all the years. You never know if you're going to have the opportunity, period, to have a chance at it, let alone to win it would just be insane.
All right, you heard it right there. All Casey wants is the trophy. Look at him, super focused on that trophy.
He's even got the stream mic out here, and he's not even streaming.
He's not even streaming, but we have right here on the broadcast the Wilson family. Wilson family, make some noise. We love to see it. Look at Gigi.
They got the merch and everything.
Oh, I love
They
it.
are ready to
Drivers
go.
with their own merch. I love it. Good stuff.
Good stuff.
Family supported.
Family support, and we're getting to more good stuff because it is time for Show Us Your Rig, brought to you by partners at Logitech, my favorite segment. This is where you get to show us your rigs at home, and we get to talk about it. It's very straightforward. Our first rig is from Daniel.
Wow.
Wow.
Daniel Moret, IMSA driver. Tony Kanaan, maybe you've heard of him.
Yes.
He's won the Indy 500. He's racing at home. That's his rig that he's got there. Love the green there. Caden Honeycutt, you know him?
Yeah, we were just talking about him. He's got a little simple setup. Cable management could be a little bit better, but I know he recently moved to North Carolina.
Justin Yellow loves writing about this stuff and covering it all. It's great to have him here in the building tonight.
Yeah, we love to see it, Justin.
Oh,
we have Steve,
the boss
as
man.
well.
I was about to say, can't say anything bad about this rig.
This is the best rig ever.
How do you pay attention with all those games going on back? Kevin Bobbitt, the director of marketing at iRacing, he's also here tonight. All right, could do a little better. Not exactly Steve Myers, but it's good. Look at how comfortable this looks.
Corey from our broadcast production team. This is very comfortable. The bed is right there after a good race. You just kind of roll over.
Yeah, and then
Sleep a little bit. We got Cisco, our technical producer, here as well. And
that sits pretty low on the ground. I mean, look at that wheel. It's way beneath the desk.
Sitting low there. Oh, what? What is that?
What? Wait, Sean.
Sean.
So this one, JoJo's making an appearance here. Is that a chick? Is that a chicken? JoJo
That's a
the chicken.
That is
Sean,
confirmed chicken.
You need to tweet us and let us know the story here. Oh, apparently we're learning that he owns chickens. I want to know how much.
Yeah.
Will we see them in the series next year? I don't know. Next one is from Drew.
The voice in our ear right now,
Yes.
Drew Admonson, the boss behind it all. That is his setup at home. I don't know how he directs us and is able to play and is able to take all that stuff. And if you look closely, those are rubber ducks.
Those are rubber ducks.
So many colors.
I don't even know what to
You
say
have
to that.
all the colors represented.
I would not expect that of Drew. He's usually just like, all right, we got to do this, we got to do that. But he's telling us that's who he talked to during the pandemic. Those were his friends, and now he has us as friends too. So you can get rid of them. Yeah, you can get rid of them, Drew. Thank you for showing us your rigs. Next up, because we are getting closer to the race, Blake, you got to take us through it.
Yeah, we're going to take a lap here around Phoenix Raceway, a very challenging racetrack for these drivers. They have a lot of options. You can see here a 1 mile track, and what's obviously changed a lot about this configuration, this is the first time in series history that we have run this configuration. It was 6 years ago that we ran it last time. The start-finish line was on the front straightaway, or what is now the back straightaway, so it's obviously changed a lot. The dogleg is very aggressive now. You can go down there to try to make some time. So this track has changed a lot, and it's very technical, especially kind of approaching the start-finish line there off of turn 4. That's what you want to call it, but a lot of options out here for these drivers, especially in 1 and 2. They can run the high side, they can run the low side there in that corner. So we've been seeing these guys. They've been running all over the racetrack.
I know on Sundays you can dive bomb that dog leg. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. All the series are going to be doing it. I don't know if we'll see it tonight, but in just a few minutes we'll have the green flag and see where these drivers go on it.
It's going to be an interesting one because it's the first time Phoenix in 5 years, and it is not the same.
I guess who the winner of that race was? Bobby Zielinski.
Ooh, Will this be the year for Bobby? I don't know, but what I do want to know is our picks for the champ. All right, let's start off things. Blake, who's your pick?
All right, well, it's pretty simple. He was my pick to start the playoffs, and I'm going to go with a little bit of home cooking. I think being able to sleep in your own bed and be able to not have to worry about traveling. He even got to eat at the same restaurant that he always eats before a Coke Series race. I'm going to go with somebody who's very popular in the chat. Casey Kerwin, I think, is going to be the champion after tonight.
All right, not a bad pick. We heard some
it's a home crowd.
We heard from this driver earlier on today. He finally gets it done. Bobby Z. Bobby Zielinski won here last time they were at Phoenix. Will win this new configuration and will finally get it done and get that championship that he has sought after. He's been to this Final Four so many times. Tonight is his night.
All right, well, I mean, the king of Phoenix, that's what you're saying, but I gotta go with, Steven Wilson. You cannot look at Gigi Wilson and say no. You really can't. Well, the Wilson family's here to represent, and I am here for it.
We're getting some haters because none of us picked Graham Boland.
I
So he's
know,
going to show
I
us
know,
all.
I
Clearly
know,
going to
I
show
know.
us all up tonight.
Well, he won at Gateway earlier this year, which
Yes.
you think about tracks that transfer in. This is probably a track that could slot right in. So, Graham Boland, go and prove us wrong.
Can't
Prove
wait.
us wrong. But also Steven Wilson prove us right.
Yeah, well, there you go.
As well, we are just around the corner from finding out who will be the champ for the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series for 2022. I just want to say thank you to everyone watching Countdown to Green throughout this season, and also the crew behind the scenes, and you too as well for just helping the show come together. We could not have done it with all of you.
Yeah, it's been a great season. Great to be a part of this and get to work with both of you.
Yeah, and it's nice to see each other in person. We're not looking at a Zoom camera or anything.
I know, now everyone knows how short I am, so I'm just going to do my outro like this. Here we go. It is time for the race. We are going to find out who is going to be crowned the champ after this. Be sure to stay tuned.
Phoenix. Nestled on the edge of the Arizona desert, there can be no better venue for a season filled with fireworks to finish. For the first time ever, drivers will compete in person in front of a live audience at the NASCAR Hall of Fame in Charlotte. Eight months, 17 races, and hundreds of hours of testing, prep, and practice has all led to this. Many new challenges await the 4 drivers hoping to etch their names into eNASCAR history. $100,000 to the winner. Your name on the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Championship trophy. One shot for it all on the grandest stage ever.
It doesn't matter what year it is. It's one race. It's just a race. I don't give a damn about no crowd or people around me. Try to be the best driver you can and make the best decisions. That's how you win it.
Honestly, I was just super looking forward to trying to get this far so that I could get to the live stage. First time for everyone, and then it'll be a cool thing to be a part of no matter where I end up.
I feel like it's less pressure because I'm already here. I feel like it's going to be a pretty clean race, and it's going to be whoever is going to have the pace. I think I have an advantage, but it takes like 20 laps and you're fine.
Honestly, I feel like I'm more relieved now that I made it, but at the same time, I think once it comes down to probably race day or a couple days out from race day, you'll start probably feeling it more what's on the line. All you can ever ask for is a shot.
Who will be your champion? The time to find out is now.
The road to $300,000 ends tonight. Live from the NASCAR Hall of Fame in Charlotte, North Carolina, we say good evening, race fans, and welcome. This is the Championship 4 finale of the 2022 eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. And happy that you're with us here. We are moments away from handing out the better sum of more than $300,000 to the 2022 eNASCAR iRacing champion. And happy that you're joining us. Alongside myself, Evan Pasocco, as always, with Alan Cavana, with Steve Letarte. Gentlemen, it's great to see you here, and it is a great night for sim racing.
It's unbelievable just to think of all the racing we've done throughout the year, all the pressure on these drivers, and then we get to this live environment, this new environment, something they've never been through before, with $100,000, and more importantly, the title of champion on the line. I can't imagine the pressure they're on.
It's multifaceted, right? A, you're racing for a $100,000 check for the champion. B, you're not at home in your sim rig where you've done the other 17 races of the season. So there's multiple levels of pressure that these guys are going to be dealing with tonight.
Yeah, I kind of wonder what the peripheral is going to look like. You're not at home. I think the rigs, they've been here for a couple days now, getting everything fine-tuned. The question is, what's going to be a distraction behind you, beside you? The room is quite large. The audio is going to be there. I think they're going to hear our announcing as well as the crowd over their own headsets. I think all that's going to play into what they're going to go through today. And just being in the public, I'm not a very good driver, but I do way better in the quiet of my own home than I do on a stage in front of a live audience.
Yeah, the teams have done the best they can to best replicate the setups that these drivers have at home here on stage tonight, but it is not identical. And we always talk about, in the sim world, comfort is the biggest thing. And for the biggest race of your life to be the one race out of your element is really the major storyline we'll see tonight.
Absolutely, and Casey Kerwin is the one with his own rig, so does that provide something of an advantage? Will that be a hiccup for others? I'm interested to see that. You could tell them they're all different attitudes going on right now. We've been watching them all night. They're right over to our right, just getting ready for this race, getting ready in front of everybody to see those different attitudes. It's really interesting.
Yeah, they've been practicing all day. They had the opportunity to practice over the weekend at the hotel with the rigs, try to get as comfortable as possible. It's time to figure it out. It's round 18, and we're about ready to get underway. So without further ado, as we get set to go racing for the last time this season, let's hand things off to driver introductions.
Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready to see your championship 4 drivers? Our first driver won his way in at Talladega, making his 5th championship 4 appearance. Driving the number 18 Joe Gibbs Racing Toyota Camry from Fresno, California, Bobby Zalinski. The winner of one of the wildest finishes in eNASCAR history, the hometown hero, driving the number 95 XZ Chevrolet Camaro from Matthews, North Carolina, Mr. Kuchu himself, Casey Kerwin. Rising from the ashes, making his first championship 4 appearance, driving the number 48 Charlotte Phoenix Toyota Camry, the pride of Houston, Texas, Graham Bolin! Punching his ticket to the finals at Homestead. He's won, count it, 4 times this year, driving the number 10 Stuart Haas Racing Ford Mustang from Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Break out the bacon, Steven Wilson!
Well, we're going to let the drivers get strapped in to go racing tonight in this eNASCAR finale. We'll be right back for the command of fire engines here at the NASCAR Hall of Fame.
because dirt racing is available now.
There are just two ways through the playoffs. The first one, elimination. But by the looks of these 12 drivers, it's safe to say that isn't an option. Now the second one is to win the whole thing and forever be called a champion. Thing is, there's only room for one. I am the NASCAR Xfinity Series playoffs. I am NASCAR.
And back live for the NASCAR Hall of Fame as we get set for this Phoenix Championship 4 finale in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series here in 2022. Guys, the drivers are strapped in. We're just about set to get things underway.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Pressure's here.
It's interesting as you walk in, I knew that they all had separate rigs, but the shoe choice is of a good highlight. 2 barefoot, 2 socks by my count as they go up the stairs.
We talked about that earlier. That's going to be fun. Well, this series has come a long way since he won its very first race back on February the 9th of 2010. Tonight's Grand Marshal is Dale Earnhardt Jr. to get things officially underway.
All right, everybody. We got about 140, 150 people here. We're all going to do this together. On 3, drivers, start your engines. 1, 2, 3. Drivers, start your engines!
Four drivers walk into the desert in Phoenix. Only one can leave a champion. You all know what the stakes are tonight. Zelensky, Wilson, Kerwin, Bolin. The time for waiting is over. The 2022 eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series Championship starts now.
'Cause this is my
Well, let's take a look at our Coca-Cola starting grid, and on the front row is 2 of your Championship 4 contenders. Graham Bolin on pole, right alongside the 18 of Bobby Zelensky.
In row 2, we have last year's champion Keegan Leahy starting next to another Championship 4 contender, Steven Wilson, in row 2. Row 3, Dylan Duval and Nick Ottinger round out row 3. Casey Kerwin, the 4th of the Championship 4, starts next to Logan Clampett. Alan Bowes and Cody Bias round out row 5.
And continuing on through, you got the likes of Blake Reynolds and Parker Retzlaff back on row number 6. Malik Gray and Taylor Hurst on row 7. Colin Keister alongside another past champion, Zach Novak. Row number 9 will see Femi Olat and Brian LaPrade. And through your top 20, Colin Bowden and Garrett Lowe.
To row 11 now, we have Matt Busa and Corey Vincent for Dillon Motorsports. Ray Alfala, former champ, and Michael Conti in row 12. Row 13, Michael Guest and Brian Mercurio. Row 14 for tonight, Jimmy Mullis and Donovan Strauss. And row 15, we have Garrett Maines and Mitchell DeYoung.
And on the back half of the field, Blade Witt and Liam Brotherton will find themselves on row 16 with Derek Justice and Dylan Alt through row 17. Derek Bordeaux and Ryan Luza, the next double, along with Caden Honeycutt on row number 19. That is a look top to bottom at your Coca-Cola starting grid for this Phoenix finale. We've talked a whole lot about Charlotte. We've talked a whole lot about the Hall of Fame where our Championship 4 are. Let's not forget where those other 36 cars are racing from home tonight, where the virtual Phoenix Raceway is the arena in which this championship will be fought in. It's the fourth different racetrack all time that this eNASCAR finale will have been decided in. First year it was at Charlotte. It went to Phoenix, of course, now. We've also seen it in the past at both Texas and Homestead. Well, Graham Boland is on pole position for this one, Alan. Let's see if we can get a word with the man who's starting up front.
Graham Boland just over to my right. We're going to talk to him right before he goes green, starting on the pole. Graham, you have no clear sailing in front of you. How important will that be in terms of clean air, dirty air, and you getting an advantage right at the start?
I think it'll be really big. I mean, I'm just happy I got pole. Dirty air is really big. Track position is really big as well. So if I can just keep the ground the first 10 laps, I feel like I have a really good car after 10 plus.
Graham Boland on the pole. Are you dealing with the pressure? All right, well, Evan, we'll send it back to you. We'll let them get ready for this big race.
Well, a lot of drivers have been talking about track position going to be important, so I think it's a big step in the right direction that the 48 and the 18 are on the front row for this one. Let's talk a little bit more about what we'll be seeing tonight at Virtual Phoenix. Steve, walk us through it with a look at our ASUS race analysis.
Well, it's a very difficult racetrack, just over a mile, 110 laps, 110 miles. Pit road speed 45 miles an hour. You lose just over 30 seconds to come down pit road. 3 sets of tires. The fuel window somewhere between 55 and 58 laps. Very asymmetric racetrack. One end very flat, one end has banking, and that front dogleg will definitely be in play on the starts.
And with that race distance, we talk about the fuel window. That could make things interesting if there's a couple of yellows over the course of this one. If not, it's pretty cut and dry. Drivers looking at a one-stopper to get to the distance in this one, but there is a lot of play in effect with that. Of course, lined up some 37, 38 cars deep. There's more than just the championship on the line tonight, guys. Also, for everybody else racing in the rigs at home, trying to stay in this series for 2023. There's a relegation battle we'll be checking in with over the night. There's also a pretty significant team championship on the line as well. The team champions walk away with $12,500 in their own right, so there is a lot happening all throughout the field, and those 110 laps are going to fly by.
And that's the biggest difference from what we see on Sundays, right, where they just focus on the 4 drivers going after the championship. So much money and future prospects on the line for a lot of these drivers who want to stay in this series. It's all on the line tonight.
Everyone's going to walk away with something. Of course, it's $100,000 to one of the 4 men on stage with us here at the NASCAR Hall of Fame who wins that championship, $25,000 to second, $15,000 to third, $10,000 to fourth place. It is the biggest event in the 13-year history of this series.
Well, it's a life-changing moment, and we see a lot of big races for professional athletes all across the world. And while these guys are professional gamers and professional e-racers, $100,000 to either of these 4 drivers on stage it's just going to be an unbelievable accomplishment. It's fun to call this final race. I've been part of it a few years now, and the reaction when the checker flag finally falls, you can't predict how they're going to react. It's just so natural, so much fun to see, and I'm thankful this year we get to see it in person.
We are getting set to crown the 10th different champion in series history, and we're happy that you're with us if you're here in Charlotte or tuning in on eNASCAR.com. The pace car is off and in, and the field is in the hands of the number 48 machine of Graham Boland. For one last time this season, we say, let's go championship racing at Phoenix.
And right away, we see that dogleg come into play. I was wondering what we would see with these cars here in this first time for this configuration in a championship race, and they were all down there right away.
First time ever we've raced on this iteration of the Phoenix Raceway here on the iRacing service. Of course, it's been a couple of years since we've raced here. Generally, that was on the older layout before the front stretch and the back stretch got flipped at a yellow flag early in this one. Up front, things seem to be fine. Most of your championship 4 cars in the top 10, no issues with them. So something towards the back will bring it a very quick yellow here.
And amongst the top 5 are our championship 4, but sitting there in third is one of those drivers we talked about, last year's champion, Keegan Leahy, racing for the potential to be relegated out of this series. He's one of those drivers with that on the line, so he will be up there competing for every position because he has plenty to race for. Here's the replay.
You see move for position. Oh, you see it right there. Just contact heading into 3. The 51 goes to the bottom of contact, sends the 5 of Zach Novak up and into the outside wall. The championship 4 are not happy to see that. It was a clean start up front, as you mentioned, and all 4 of them had looked to be about single file at this point, looking to click off some laps.
What's that do for a competitor? All the adrenaline, it just finally gets out with the green flag, and now it all comes back down.
Well, you have to be expecting it. This race, you mentioned it the first time at this layout of Phoenix. The dog leg is quite fascinating to watch, but really I think it's that entrance to turn 3. That back straightaway is pretty narrow. Turns 3 and 4 are kind of wide, and you see some dive bombs just like that right there. If you can get to somebody's inside, you can kind of outbrake them, run them up on exit, and complete the pass.
Well, that was a pretty big incident as well. We talk about relegation. Ray Alfala, the 4-time series champion, involved in that. He's one of the drivers on that relegation bubble who needs a good performance tonight if he doesn't want to go down to the Road to Pro ladder and through the Contender Series in this offseason. Who would have thought in a world where we're talking about the 4-time champ, the defending champ on a cut line, who might not even be guaranteed a spot on the grid for next season? I think it goes to show you how effective this relegation model is in this series. You can't sign a 5-year contract and lock it up, man. You got to perform year after year, and in a critical situation like this, race after race.
Well, I love the Road to Pro and the Contender Series that'll be run over the winter. As a team owner, I'm always looking for who the next driver is going to be that moves up and has an opportunity, a great view of the 4 setups here on stage at the Hall of Fame. 17 times these drivers have gone head-to-head, all 4 of them in a race this year, and it's interesting. Steven Wilson dominates the lead with 10 times he's finished in front of the other championship 3. We'll see if today can be it. Graham Boland 3 times, and then Bobby Z and Casey Kerwin each twice over the course of the season have best these 4 drivers.
When you look at Bobby Zelensky for the recent history here at Phoenix, last time we raced here in 2017, he took home the race win. Now again, big grain of salt, different racetrack at that point, different race car, but he knows a thing or two about these tracks, and I don't think it's any shock that all of our championship competitors right now are running there and inside of the top 5 positions. Pace car going to be off and in. We'll get a restart here with a long way to go from Phoenix. And Boland as the control car, going to be on the inside of the front row, and it'll be Zelensky to his outside. Kerwin on the outside of row 2. Wilson watches on for the inside of row number 3. It is the 48's field to control as we are back underway on board with Wilson.
All the way down to the flat using that dog leg, as we see on Sundays a lot. And we heard the drivers, Graham Boland, talk about how important clean air would be. That's what makes the restart so important, getting as much as you can right now. Steven Wilson trying to get every single spot. We have a caution already.
Spinner behind, the 25 involved, the 7 as well. So the issues for previous champions is the storyline early in this one. Nick Ottinger won the title back in 2020. He's also a previous Phoenix winner for 2012, but it's not the start that he wanted. And we talk about all of that pent-up nerves and anxiousness for these championship 4 guys, at least. Of course, everybody else a lot on the line, but you've been waiting and waiting for this race to get underway. As 2 quick yellows, it's kind of hard to get into a rhythm here early.
We've done this 18 times this season. No race has started like this. This is it's already a unique experience and race that was going in. No race has started like this season.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's been a relatively clean season. We haven't seen too many caution-filled races. We've seen a few at the end, a lot of overtime finishes, but they've got underway pretty quickly, pretty cleanly. We'll see if this is just nerves or a season full of frustration we're seeing at the back of the field.
I think certainly that frustration going to start to boil over for some of those drivers towards the back. And again, if they're below that relegation bubble, they will have the chance to re-qualify into this series for next year and hope to get their shot on that road to $300,000. But a slow start for your leaders early. Kind of hard to gauge as well what kind of a race car you're going to have under race conditions here. We've seen the drivers, as mentioned, on stage practicing all day. And let's see, watch around that 25 car in the middle of the 3 wide here, and just a bit of a squeeze with the 55 down low. And when you're 3-4 wide like that coming through the dog leg, somebody sideways, you're not going to find an opening.
If you're one of the championship 4, I think this is going to have to kind of weigh on you when you look at pit strategy later. You mentioned if the thing runs green, it's basically a one-stop race. But if we have some yellows broken up, do you think tires are valuable right now with the lack of green flag racing and the lack of clean passes at the back of the field? You would definitely not want to go back in traffic.
So live look in at a lot of the people tuning in here at the NASCAR Hall of Fame. The families are in the front row for our championship competitors, cheering them on, along with everybody else here that's joining us. Such a unique experience for even us to just be able to glance over to our right and take a look at what they're doing under the yellow. Now, these drivers aren't as disconnected as you may think. They are on site, they are not in their normal element, but they're still talking on radio with their same spotters, with their crew chiefs. So it is as close to what they are used to as possible, but this time under the yellow is where a lot of that strategizing happens.
And I'm sure we'll mention it a few times, but Casey Kerwin, the hometown boy nearby Charlotte, North Carolina, from Matthews, not too far from here, has his own rig, has his home rig set up. Was talking to his dad earlier, helped bring it all up from hometown and label every cord, make sure they didn't forget anything like that. Is that comfort factor factoring in tonight, helping him in the championship?
Well, 3 of them are making their first appearance in the championship 4, so they don't really have anything to measure back to. I think it's Bobby Zielinski who definitely has got the big shift, right, because he's done this multiple times, but this being the first time in person for Steven Wilson, Graham Boland, and Casey Kerwin, their first trip to the championship 4, so as far as they're concerned, this might be what it should feel like every year.
Yeah, you got that interesting balance. First time at the championship 4 versus Bobby, who's been here now 5 times. Right? Can that experience help him? Of course, if you're enjoying the action you're seeing tonight and want to stay up to date with the latest news and updates from the world of eNASCAR, then sign up today to scan the QR code on the bottom right-hand corner of your screen and make sure that you get involved with iRacing, the official simulation partner of NASCAR. Lights out on top of the pace car, so we'll be trying it again this next time by. Going to leave us with still about 100 laps to go in this race. And while we are coming down to the end of the season, that Road to Pro is going to keep you busy, and I promise we'll be back to Daytona in February before you know it. So for more information on the schedule, the standings, and even how you could qualify one day to be in this series, go to iRacing.com/eNASCAR. So no changes from the last time we did this. Still a front row in which Boland has gotten the better of Zielinski the last couple of times through. It's still Casey Kerwin on row number 2 and Steven Wilson on row number 3. First 2 incidents have come towards the back of the field. I think that may be to be expected as these drivers are utilizing all of the real estate available to them from that wide open dog leg. As we come through the Geico restart zone, the green flag is back in the air.
Great start for Graham Boland, utilizing that dog leg down there. Another view from Steven Wilson behind the 45 of Keegan Leahy. It looks like that top is rolling a little bit. Keegan Leahy kind of holding Wilson up there. Got to see what's coming off the turn.
And after not the best to start, Zielinski now right back on. Boland now looking to the inside. A battle for the race lead. The championship at stake. Zielinski through the inside. Tries to get a nose in front of the 48 car. And he is clear. New race leader, lap number 11. It's Bobby Zielinski to the point.
Lap 11, but only the second green flag lap. A nice clean move by the 18, although the 48 of Boland not giving up. Just looks a little snug off corner exit. You see how much racetrack he's using up versus the 18. He can have much tidier line, a much cleaner bottom. And then, as you mentioned, that 45 of Keegan Leahy, not one of the championship 4, but a powerhouse in the series. I wouldn't be surprised if he could come in and spoil the day and win the race today.
The dog leg is popular on restarts. How long will we see it during the race, you feel?
You don't see it as often. Normally, you have right here, you see you kind of make a nice wide corner exit. You can use the dog leg, as you see the front 3 continue to do. In real life, it's kind of hard on your equipment. In the virtual world, less damage, really, than in the real world. So maybe a little bit more, we'll see it today.
There's a live look in the bottom right of your screen of Bobby Zielinski in his rig. He opted to go for the triple monitor setup here on stage. It is different when you look at all 3 of the driver setups, some with 1, some with 3, some with even 4. Bobby pretty comfortable right now, and as he's leaving Graham a little bit behind him, Graham now dealing with a challenge from Keegan. Surprised everybody was that Keegan Leahy didn't make it into the postseason this year. Of course, the 2021 Series champ. He drives through to second, and now for the first time there's a buffer between our championship leader and its next closest competitor. You can track where those championship 4 are by looking at the top of your screen all night long.
Yeah, I mean, shocking. Keegan winless this season. I was expecting a multi-win season after what he did a year ago. This year, his best was a third at Pocono about 5 or 6 races ago. Really quite shocking. You mentioned the championship before, but the fact that there's no victory out of this 45 car would have definitely not been a prediction.
Not only no victory, he is the one fighting for relegation, right? Comes into this 22nd in points, has to get to the top 20 by the end, and you can see that's why he's racing so hard at the front of the field, where again, on Sundays, maybe we see some give and take from those drivers not racing for the championship. Keegan Leahy, plenty to race for. You can see the points right there. Keegan Leahy has put himself in position to avoid relegation, what all those drivers from about 18th to 22nd are trying to do tonight.
We saw Rayo Fallon involved in an accident earlier. He's 22nd, so minus 11. Obviously hindered by the incident he was in. You're on board with Michael Conti here, trying to track down the number 9 of Michael Guest, and now looking to the inside as they fight for what right now is 9th and 10th on track, 3 wide in front of them. So even as we work our way into this run, the dogleg getting some use and getting squeezed out there was Colin Keister. That is that bright orange car directly in front of him. Michael Conti, somebody else, a past champ who just missed out. He was the first driver on the outside after he finished 5th in that round of 10. Of course, only the top 4 made it to tonight.
That was a squeeze move, an impressive move by the 9 of Michael Guest, a squeeze down in front of Conti. I didn't think there was space. He moved to the left with some confidence. We'll see if he takes the bottom again or if he'll stay in the top line. He will stay in the top line, and Conti will roll to his inside.
Of course, you can also identify those playoff drivers by those red banners on the cars. Keep track of them all night. And as we watch this battle between Casey Kerwin and Steven Wilson, Camille is still hanging out with us from Countdown to Green, and she has caught up with some of the family here at the NASCAR Hall of Fame.
All right, yes, I have caught up with the family here. I'm here with the Steven Wilson family. Wilson family, make some noise. Now I'm here with Mommy and Daddy Wilson, and we got to talk about what it means to be here at the NASCAR Hall of Fame, cheering on your son front row and center.
It's pretty amazing, actually. We're very proud of him. We've got most of the family here. Ashley's at home, rooting him on. But we're super proud of what he's made of this hobby that he's had. So very proud.
It's what he's always wanted to do. He started this at a young age, and this is what he loves doing. So we're glad to be here. No matter what, we're gonna be here and watching. So
I love that you're so supportive. You know, he's been throughout the series very consistent, and I think that has to come with all the support that he has as well. One of them, speaking, and now no camera, if you could catch Gigi at the corner there in her lucky shoes, also supporting Steven Wilson and supplied the green pig. What's the story behind this?
that was a trophy she made for him on one of his wins that he's got at home for him. So he just likes looking at it all the time and bringing it with him for luck.
Oh, can we get an aw? That is so sweet. That is so sweet. Now, I've heard a little rumor that Steven Wilson loves to jam out to Taylor Swift while racing. Can you confirm or deny?
Yes, that is his favorite. We don't know what song, though.
All right.
We confirm that. Yeah.
All right. Confirming T-Swift is what's helping Wilson stay consistent throughout the series. Back to you, Evan.
Well, it had to have worked. He's a four-time race winner this year. That is the most out of anybody in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series, but with a couple of steps to go tonight as he sits in P6, challenging his Championship 4 rival, Casey Kerwin. Look to the outside that time in 2. Now back down to the bottom, and they'll duke this one out for P5.
Yeah, as we get longer and longer into this green flag run, picking up a little speed, maybe handling a little better, finding the better way around the track and around one of his Championship 4 competitors. That pig was green, Steve. I thought green was bad luck in racing. Not for Steven Wilson this year.
Well, he's not for Steven Wilson this year. As you mentioned, 4 wins on the season. You see how hard it is to complete a pass. He's fast enough to get to the inside, but the 95 does a very nice job. Casey kind of holds him on that bottom lane. He has a hard time to pick up the power. And now he's playing a little bit of defense right here.
Plenty more going on throughout the field. You got the battle for 13th position on the back. A couple of different teams in the midst of this one. Garrett Lowe, Parker Retzlaff. Retzlaff, somebody else from this series, guys, who has ample real-world experience. We're seeing that more and more than we ever did previously as we go on board with his 88.
just amazing how tight the field still is. Normally we start to see it get strung out a little bit here at Phoenix, but not here today. Too wide, multiple rows. You see the patience going back to the throttle. If you get back a little too early, you kind of lose the nose. Gets a little tight in the center. It took a while to get under green, but now once we've had it, it's been clean ever since.
Things have calmed down a little bit, especially back there, but racing each one of these position counting, as we remember, the team standing still is going strong. There's a lot of pride and money on the line to win the team standing. Stuart Haas Racing eligible for that, Jim Beaver Esports eligible for that, and XSET represented by Casey Kerwin tonight, all still running for that team championship, which brings money and a whole lot of pride.
Yeah, it could be a big night for XSET. They could have a driver and a team championship.
Trying to go for the double, that would really be the accomplishment. You can see single file things out a little bit. It's the midfield where you got that action, but the biggest gap for position is the difference between 1 and 2. Zelensky's got a bit of a hearty margin up there as we take a look at our Coca-Cola onboard camera with the number 3 machine of Corey Vincent. He sits back in P28, and you can see all of that traffic up the road from him down on the yellow line in 1 and 2. Great perspective of the lap-by-lap battle that wrestling, one of these virtual NASCAR Cup cars, is around this Phoenix Raceway. And as we get into the race, I want to say hi again for those who may just be tuning in. We are live with our Championship 4 competitors here at the NASCAR Hall of Fame in Charlotte. Myself, Evan Pasoko, Alan Cavana, Steve Letarte, the other 36 drivers in the field, still racing from home per usual, but the big 4 are happening here tonight. And it has been a pretty good start for those championship competitors. 1, 4, 5, and 6 in the running order, with Bobby Zelensky appearing to start to establish himself right now as the better of those 4 cars.
Steve, I can imagine as a crew chief, when a driver is doing poorly, you want to coach them, you want to tell them things they can do better. When a driver is doing good and has a large lead, like a second and a half, like Bobby Zelensky has, his crew chief, what is he saying on the radio? What kind of message are you trying to put out there?
Well, I think at this point right here, it's all what kind of information a driver wants to have, maybe lap time, but this eNASCAR, just like in the real world, I checked out all of the lineups. All of these different guys are on a different form of the digital dash. They have lap time right there in front of them. You see multiple screens. I would imagine it's mostly spotter to driver at the moment, maybe a little communication if someone is finding some speed, moving around higher or lower. But at this point, I think it's all just nice and calm. Let the guy settle in. 33 laps is still a relatively short run here at Phoenix. Kind of let us settle in, figure out what his car is doing. You have to have at least 1 pit stop. Do you need to make some adjustments?
And that may be the critical point in this race once we get there. Again, single file through the top 10 to 15. Again, as mentioned earlier, this is not only the first time the championship has been held here at Phoenix, first time on this version of the Phoenix Raceway. And if you're a fan of more than just asphalt racing, you can learn more about the brand new World of Outlaws dirt racing video game, which is available now. If you go to worldofoutlaws.game.com, that's available for all your favorite consoles, Xbox One, Xbox Series X and S, as well as PS4 and PS5. I'm not as fast as these guys on iRacing, so maybe I'll give that for a spin. Probably not going to be any better, but I have heard it is an incredibly fun game to play.
It is. I can attest to that as a rookie in that series on the dirt. And I also took my shot at on a rig here in the
motion
hall.
rig earlier.
The motion rig early. I'm looking at the lap times right now. Bobby Zelensky running, 28.5 after 28 seconds after 36 laps. I barely broke the 30-second mark and thought I was doing a good job. So we can see who the professionals are tonight.
Yeah, I've tried both games. I'm not fast in either. I'm hoping there's going to be a third game.
Right. Third time's the charm. That's what they say, right?
We'll see if something helps.
Well, Well, these guys have figured something out. Again, most of these drivers, longtime veterans of the series. We referenced the fact that, it's Bobby's 5th appearance in the Championship 4, whereas it's the first for Bolin, Kerwin, and Wilson. But none of them are rookies, right? I mean, it is Steven Wilson's second campaign. He is the, least veteran of all of them, but Casey's been here for 5 years, Graham for 3, Bobby for 7. I mean, they have been able to establish themselves on this service and also have been able to learn as the service has changed, right? Just like each year when new regulations come into the Cup Series, drivers have to adjust. And here on the sim, the big story was this next-gen car, which led to the second most individual race winners in series history.
Yeah, no surprise, though, that Bobby Zielinski still found his way here. He runs in so many other disciplines on iRacing that I didn't think a car change was going to be a huge change for him. Actually, known as kind of the road course expert, this road course style car I thought would fall his way, but in the end, it wasn't the road course that advanced him through. It was a win at Talladega, of all places, a win at the biggest track we run on. It was his advancement into the Championship 4.
And he was one of the hottest drivers toward the end of the season, right? Getting a lot of second places, finally getting that victory at Talladega. And that's why when I was filling out my bracket or what have you, I thought he would be one of the people here in the Championship 4 because of the late season momentum. But with all those winners, it really did mirror what we see on Sundays. In the NASCAR Cup Series, so many different winners, 19 in that series. We saw a lot of that here this season in the Coke Series here.
We talk a lot about the series veterans. How about Logan Clampett, who is making his announced final career start here this afternoon? It is his 7th season for the driver at a Concord, North Carolina, driving for William Byron Esports. That is it for him back home now in California, and this will be his last start, hanging up the virtual steering wheel after tonight. And he's not the only one. See, there's a lot of drivers who have been in this. I mean, think how much this series has changed in 7 years. He's not the only one. Blake Reynolds also at a Cypress, Texas, at a number 15 machine for General Tire, and Jim Beaver Esports also making his final start.
Well, the time commitment to be successful, I mean, it takes a tremendous amount of time to work your way into this series. But then if you are fortunate enough to get here and finish in the top 20, you're invited back to race again next year. But the amount of hours, the amount of laps, the amount of setup development they put in is really, really impressive. And I think that's what you're seeing, some guys that are just ready to do something else with their time. That is quite an outfit to go with the paint scheme for Liam.
He's ready for the end of the year. Yeah. That looks like he's got his vacation outfit. He's got the shades on, and he is ready to go. He's also somebody else making his final start here tonight. The Next Level Racing number 2 machine, the rookie, one and done, was able to make it to the top level of the eNASCAR ladder. That is not something that many people of the tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of people on the iRacing service, it is a very exclusive club to have been able to do it. So congratulations to those 3 drivers on not only making it to this level, but congratulations to them on what's to come next.
And that'll be my biggest takeaway of the season once we crown a champion, is just learning about these drivers, learning about how much it takes, the ladder they have to climb, the hours that Steve was mentioning, the laps you have to put in. Talking to our Championship 4, I mean, 1,500 plus laps just at Phoenix for practicing. That's just for this one championship race, not to mention the other 18 races they've already put in, all the hours and time they've had to put in just to get to this level, to this moment. It really is a testament to how much work it takes.
Yeah, we're on board and watching Casey Kerwin in his action right here. Takes his hand off the wheel, tries to stay relaxed, keep those hands from cramping up, working very hard to find a way past Graham Bolin in this 48. He seems to be a little quicker through the middle of the corner and even a little better at this end of the racetrack. You see he kind of closes up to maybe just 1 car length, but down in 3 and 4 here, it looks like the 48 matches his speed, may even be a little bit better the last couple times through. And once again, you see the 48 back to the gas a little sooner, kind of finds a little bit of an advantage. So that's Phoenix in a nutshell, right? Better at one end than your competitor, you give some up at the other. You just continue to work. These passes happen a few inches at a time, maybe a few feet at a time. So you see the 95 a little bit lower line, 48 a little bit more of a diamond. And I imagine the 48 overall just looks to be a little bit better drive off. That exit at turn 4 looks like there's a lot of grip. It looks like a nice wide exit. It's so easy to spin the tires all the way off the start-finish line.
And it was a point of conversation as well, right? The weather in the sim and how that's going to affect the track temperature, the handling of these race cars. And look out, 3 wide down the road. There were 20th position, and it's the 31 car of Garrett Main, center of all of that. He had some company in the mix there, Jimmy Mullis, but they're going to be able to shake that one out to a 2-wide battle. All of this is some half a racetrack seemingly behind your race leaders. There's a split shot, the battle for 4th on the left, and the battle for 20th on the right-hand side of your screen as we inch closer and closer to halfway in this Phoenix finale.
And remember that fuel window, 50 to lap 58. We had some cautions earlier in the race. Maybe that moves it just a little bit. We have to be thinking about pit stops, potential adjustments coming up here, because if this goes green the rest of the way, it'll be a one-stop race.
As we go back to that battle farther back in the field, I noticed that at 25 of Nick Ottinger made his way back up to 18th. He was in one of the earlier wrecks, so for a track that is known to be pretty difficult to sometimes work through traffic, Nick doing a nice job recovering inside the top 20. Garrett Main's in the 31s back there battling as well.
More drivers back there who have had a pretty good night. Ryan Luza and Derek Bordeaux both up 20 positions from where they started on the grid to find themselves in the midfield, so maybe taking advantage of some of the drivers wrecking out in those other incidents, but also good pace now getting this green flag run underneath us.
Yeah, from the start of the race, you have Michael Conti, Michael Guest both up 15, Mitchell DeYoung up 18. So some drivers finding a way to work their way through the field.
And Ryan Luza plus 20. Again, one of those drivers came into this race 18th in points. You have to remain in the top 20 if you want to stay in this series for next season. Avoid relegation, 20 spots about halfway through this race. You can see the points there. From 18th to 22nd, those are 18th to 23rd are the drivers we are looking at who can fight their way either in or out of relegation. Keegan Leahy sitting there in second has worked his way into the top 20 to stay in this series. Other drivers have some work to do with only 60 laps to go.
Keegan Leahy, of course, still occupying the number 2 spot, one of a handful of international drivers in the series out of Halifax, Nova Scotia. He's up in the number 2 spot right now. Again, fighting for that relegation bubble, plus 9 positions on his cut line, and looking pretty comfortable. You see the gap back to 3rd. Logan Clampett sits in 3rd at the moment. Then you'll find that battle we saw a little bit ago. Bolin in 4th, Kerwin in 5th, and Wilson in the number 6 spot. So those other 3 championship drivers significantly back from those top 1 or 2, trying to pull away from everybody else. And again, a lot on the line for the defending champ. But in the midfield, every time we check in, this area has not fanned out or thinned out at all. They are just as tight as they were on the restart. And, you know, if I'm the 18 or somebody else, oh, and there it is, the 14 car goes high, makes contact with the 88 machine, and there it is. Caution flag number 3. And in the blink of an eye, shy of halfway, this race will come to a halt, and that big gap the 18 had pulled gets wiped right off.
And I can do
tough break there. Pit stop's going to be coming up next, though. We'll see how it shakes out. It has been all Bobby Zelensky early, virtually, for the Phoenix Raceway. You're watching the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series Championship.
57 laps. This is an issue. 57 lap.
Dirt Racing is available now.
Martinsville, Isn't it charming? But don't be fooled. This half mile of mayhem is looking to rob 4 drivers of their championship dreams.
It's a must-win situation.
Time is now, boys. Tick tock. The NASCAR playoffs continue at Martinsville on NBC.
And back live from iRacing's virtual Phoenix Raceway. Coverage of tonight's race is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official fan refreshment of eNASCAR. By Asus, the official PC and monitor of eNASCAR. By Logitech. Through design, engineering, and a love of driving games, Logitech G takes racing simulation to another level. Logitech G, the official wheel and pedals of the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. And by the NASCAR Hall of Fame. Visit the NASCAR Hall of Fame in Charlotte, North Carolina, and see how Petty and Earnhardt and hundreds of other NASCAR legends became heroes. From those icons who established the sport to the new heroes fighting for a spot in the record books, there's always something exciting to see at the NASCAR Hall of Fame. To explore more and book your visit to the Hall today, go to NASCARHall.com for more information. So a consequential cycle of yellow flag pit stops. It is now Keegan Leahy leading this race, but in terms of the championship, guys, Steven Wilson up to second, Bobby Zalenski a slow 15.1 second stop. That was the slowest out of anybody in the top 25. He falls to P4.
And right behind him, the other two of the championship 4, Graham Bolin and Casey Kerwin, 5th and 6th. So still have all 4 in the front 3 rows, but every row back, it's a little more uncomfortable on these starts as they fan out down that front stretch. You got to kind of reorganize to get into turn 1. That's the big concern for the 95 and the 48 back in that 3rd row.
55 down and 55 to go. Green flag back in the air for Keegan Leahy as we race to the end at Phoenix.
And we have to think this is...
Oh, and it's the 4-car contact with Mullis, and now several others are going to stack them up in turn number 1. Ottinger gets more of it. I think that's Retzlaff in there as well. And deja vu back to when we dropped the green flag earlier, guys. It is that midfield. They fanned it out through the dogleg, and they just couldn't tighten it up when they got down to 1 and 2. There's very little banking at that end of the racetrack, and a couple of drivers pushed up, and it collected a handful of them. It is yellow flag number 4.
Yeah, it's flat down in 1 and 2, but the other big issue is the outside lane works pretty well. So when you kind of dive underneath the guy, you just can't slide up, because if you don't overdrive the second groove, you can kind of roll that second groove pretty well. You start to see some contact, but that's the concern of the championship 4 as you get farther back in the pack. Let's take a look exactly what happened. You mentioned it. I'm going to call it 4 wide, maybe 5 wide. It's a mess back here, and then just contact. The 46 gets back into the rear bumper of the 4. No run has anywhere else to go with some heavy contact. There's the 25 who's in another accident on the day.
You always seem to get the incidents like that when there's staggering going on, right? If somebody's directly next to you, you know they're there, you can see that positioning. It's when you're kind of staggered at someone's quarter panel, they're at yours, you really don't know what lane they're going to commit to going into the corner is where you find issues like that. And again, another incident towards the rear. It doesn't affect anybody in that championship 4, but a spot gained quickly on the restart there for Bobby Zalenski. He jumps up now into 3rd position, so that's a quick spot gained. It means that he'll line up behind the 45 machine of Leahy when this thing restarts, so maybe an opportunity and an opening for the 18 to get back in control.
Yeah, and that's what we have to think about, right? This is the best track position we've seen all night for Steven Wilson. Maybe the worst, even though it's only 3rd place, that we've seen for Bobby Zalenski. What can they do with it at the front of the field in their current position? Meanwhile, Keegan Leahy, again, still plenty to race for. He has everything to race for, to race these guys hard. What can they do with it on this restart? It seemed to be so important when clean air seems to be of a premium.
Certainly is. You can see as well as some of those other battles carry on through the field. We'll be talking relegation throughout this one, but the focus continues to be on this championship 4. Well, special guest joining us now at the broadcast desk. It is the trophy that bears his name, and as we mentioned earlier, he was the first ever person to win in this series. Dale Earnhardt Jr. is joining us up top. Thanks for joining us, and pleasure to have you here.
Yeah, man, what a great thing we got going on here. This is pretty amazing. Just talking about talking to somebody over there on the sides about how, me and my brother used to argue over the phone bill when we was dialing up Massachusetts on iRacing or on Papyrus way back in the day, and never thought we'd be sitting here doing something like this, watching these guys go for $100,000.
Yeah, I mean, that was going to be my question. You talked when you and I worked together, first started working together, you were such a proponent on sim racing.
Yeah.
Did you ever imagine you would see the Hall of Fame filled with sim fans watching 4 guys on their rigs on a stage race for $100,000?
I remember talking to people in our industry going, we really need to start to look into this. This could be an asset to us, and we need to figure out how to have a connection here and dial into the fan base of sim racing and the drivers and all the people that appreciate it. This is a great demographic, right? And a great way for us to connect. So, and now there's this massive embrace from the industry. There's tracks owners using iRacing to sort of build the virtual idea of what they want in reality, and I just never imagined it would be the tool that it is today, not only for drivers, but for the entire industry, NASCAR as a whole. I mean, with the design of the Chicago street course and all those things, ability to do that through iRacing, to understand the issues you're going to come across and be able to save millions of dollars is a crazy thing that I thought we'd never experience.
I saw you talk to each of the 4 competitors up here.
Yeah.
Tell me about their mindset. Their families are here. It's live. There's lights. They can hear us talking about them right now. What is their mindset as a competitor right now?
They've been doing this a long time. These guys are pros, and they have experienced about everything you could in sim racing. So there's nothing that's going to happen in this race that they're not ready for. And I think that, obviously being here in front of a crowd, being in this space is a little unique, a little different. But once they're sort of in the zone, if you will, they put the headset on and they run some laps and they get the rig ready, and they're in the zone. They have been here before and they've done this. I got no doubt that these guys, look at them. They're all up toward the front. They're all qualifying toward the front. Nothing really has phased them in a sense or taken any pace away.
We'll let you hang out a little bit while this race gets back underway. Just inside of 50 laps to go. And up front, the battle going to be between Wilson and Zelensky. Wilson is able to hang on, and now here comes the 48 of Graham Boland making some noise. He'll go to the inside of the 18 of Machine. That battle's going to be for third. 3 wide, even further behind.
Yeah, 3 wide, further behind. Up front, I did think that restart was the best for Bobby Zelensky. He was able to roll the top, at least stay in touch with Wilson and Boland. Now with under 50 to go, you can't let those guys kind of get away. Oh, no, we have another accident. It looks like contact, the 23 in the inside wall. No caution out at this point.
Green flag going to stay in the air. That was DeYoung who got into the fence on the back straightaway, never spun the car around, so the racetrack will be clear for your race leaders to come on through. So this race will stay green. And look at the 48 car. Contact as Boland and Wilson make contact in the battle for second and third. They are still door to door. Now more contact between 2 of your championship competitors, and now all 4 of them on top of each other out of 4.
The intensity's picking up right here. Casey right through the middle, 3 wide. We're almost 4 wide down the front straightaway.
Oh my. And they are now, for a moment, 4 wide with your championship hopefuls right now. Boland has a nose in front. Kerwin trying to get to the outside, can't do it. It'll be sealed off by the 48 car. And listen, these guys have been playing nice all day today on stage. That was not a nice battle between those 4. They're on it.
Well, they know the pressure's here. Under 50 to go. Clean air is going to be king. They want to get out there. We know Keegan Leahy has the lead, but this is the battle for second and what would be a championship. They're going to work quickly by Leahy, I believe, if they can get to his rear bumpers. You see the 18 right on the rear bumper, the 95 in front. Now we're on board with Boland. He's going to be looking for the lead. His patience will be a little bit shorter than they would be, I think, in a normal race, and this is why. Casey Curran off his right rear quarter panel looking for a crossover.
He's going to go low here down the front straightaway to the inside of the 48 of Graham. Looks back, tucks back in line into turn 1. So Graham can't really get on the offense here. He has to be a little bit defensive. He's going to the top of the racetrack to keep the momentum up on corner exit. You see Conti kind of mixing it up here in the top 5. It's a difficult position for these guys that are not playoff drivers, not here for the championship tonight, but that have fast cars, the ability to get up there and mix it up and try to win this race.
And I think that's really the position Keegan Leahy's in, is he's going to lead when he can. Now, I believe if it gets contested side by side, he's going to take minimal risk. to affect the other 4, but until the 48 can kind of get in that position, it allows that 45 to run his own lane, running a clean race.
Keegan looking for that preservation, trying to stay in the series, but I look at that 48, the 95, the 18, the 10. That's for $100,000 on the line with 43 to go. That's why it's getting so crazy right now.
Well, and you see the 10 now has been passed by the 8 of Conti. That moves him back. Now he's not only the weakest of the 4 championship contenders, but now has a car in between him. As we're side by side for second, Zielinski's going to be looking which lane to follow.
Casey now putting the pressure on. Looking really good over the last several laps since the restart. This 95 trying to take away second place here. He's going to use up as much of the track as he can.
It's the highest we've seen the 95 run all night tonight. He is feeling it in this second run. But
So
the 48's not going away up top. He's not going to roll over. Does this battle open the door for Zielinski behind them?
The 95 is very polite in the middle. He kind of diamonds the corner. Definitely could have shoved the 48 up higher if he wanted to. Later in the race, I think he would have taken a little more real estate. These two side by side, lap after lap, corner after corner. That takes so much talent. Zielinski, I'm not sure if he doesn't have the car to get to the rear bumper or just has the patience, trying to figure out who's going to clear who. And now I think the 95 has the advantage. Will he clear him off the corner just barely?
Man, that was tight. Off corner exit there.
Hard racing like this, what's this do for tire wear, if anything?
Well, the tire fall off in that first run was very, very minimal. It was maybe a half a second over a whole 50 laps, which is almost a fuel run. I think at this point, you have to be aggressive. Maybe the 18 is saving a little bit of tire, but you got to be careful because I think if any of these playoff 4 drivers get in front of the 45, they're going to have that clean air and the ability to kind of pull away. You have to keep them in touch.
I worry a little bit about Wilson. I mean, I know you definitely don't want to burn the tires up here early in this run if it does go green. He's kind of sitting back there with a little bit of track position to gain to battle back into this championship battle.
Of course, Wilson coming off of the most recent race win at Homestead. As mentioned, his 4th of the year. He's the winningest driver so far this season. He was a lot of the picks when talking amongst the crowd earlier today, but finds himself in the battle for 7th with a couple other drivers.
I love the in-person race, though. We had a crowd cheer with a change of position. It just feels so much different than the other 17 races we've seen this year, although the intensity on the racetrack looks very similar. The only real change, I think, is that the 10 of Steven Wilson is the 4th of the 4. When you look at the numbers from the year, he had the best record of the championship 4, but this just proves you have to get to this race and then you have to show up and perform, although with 37 to go, far from out of it. The front 3, though, you could throw a blanket on. I'm with you, Dale. My concern is the gap off the front of the 10. Right? It's not just that he's kind of hanging back. He's, 5, 8, maybe now 10 car lengths off the next car in front of him, the 8 of Michael Conti, and now Logan Clampett actually is in front of him as well. So now there's 2 non-playoff drivers that have worked their way by the 10.
But it could be by design. I mean, there could be a position here where he's just trying to stay close enough while also taking care of those tires a little bit. Should it go green, he could have the pace to claw back into this in the final few laps.
And if that's the case, then his best friend will be the 45 of Keegan Leahy, perhaps holding up the other playoff contenders.
And it sounds like when they came down pit road, guys, under that yellow, there was a lot of talk about tire where Steven Wilson went with 2. So he's a bit on the back foot here. A lot of drivers said you could probably stretch 2 if he didn't have complete wear. But looking at their pit stop times, he was in the 10-second bracket, so that's only enough time on the sim to go for 2. Everybody else in the 4-tire bracket, maybe that's the difference at this point.
Yeah, that definitely only increases my concern about falling back a little bit. The 2 tires maybe giving up. Left rear tire, maybe that left rear drive off the corner, sliding a little bit. The 48, though, runs really nice right around the yellow line down here in 1 and 2.
They're staying so close together in terms of the distance between themselves as the 18 of Bobby Zielinski goes deep here into turn 3, trying to get past Graham Boland in the 48, but no separation between this group.
No, but I think it's time. We're inside 40 to go now, 33 to go this time by. I think the 18 knows that 3rd place, it's going to take him 4, 5, maybe 6 laps to complete this pass if he is able to. So he needs to kind of get that out of the way. You want to try to move up as soon as you can. And you see how hard it is to pass. You can get position, but that outside lane just runs so good around the middle.
And there are less than 35 laps to go at Phoenix with this championship on the line. This is the battle for second in the title fight. Zelensky underneath Bolin. Remember, it was Zelensky who had pulled out that huge advantage before the yellow at halfway. Mixed things up here and pushing the 48 car a little bit high. He knows he's starting to run out of time, and man, Casey's right there.
Michael Conti running like the 2005 Michael Waltrip line at Phoenix. I remember a race that the absolute third groove was the place to be.
48 with a little slip there in the middle of the corner, gave up a little time. Zelensky, half a car length down the front straightaway, shortcuts the front straightaway, barrels it off into turn one. He's got a little bit of a position here to be able to use up a little bit more racetrack. Going to take that position over for third.
Yeah, and I think Michael Conti helped him. It kind of forced the 48 not to be able to turn left and kind of go for the crossover. So now, just like in the beginning where we saw Zelensky have the lead, he kind of drove away on older tires like he had the best long-run car. Now here, longer into this run, 26 laps into this green flag run, and the 18 has worked his way up into third place, but second of the championship 4.
Dale, put myself in the mindset of the 95. First place means nothing to me right now. Am I looking out the back window or the front window if you're the 95?
Yeah, I think that you just want to be the first of the playoff drivers, the first of the contenders for the championship. You want to control the pace. Run the pace that you want. Don't be pushed to run too hard, burn the tires off. If the 18 gets there and starts to put the pressure on, we're really going to see what these guys are willing to do, whether they hold that position or not. Still with 30 to go, I think you could give up the spot if you're thinking that this is going to go green and you're going to conserve a little bit of tire for the final 15 laps.
And Evan, I think you were dead on that call, the 2-tire call for Steven Wilson. Now back to 12th and continuing to fade. Just doesn't look like he has the grip in that 10 car. So at the moment, he's going to need what I think would be a yellow or something big to happen at the front.
And as Bobby Zelensky goes on the offensive late at Phoenix, let's check in again with Camille.
And now at the front row here in the NASCAR Hall of Fame, it is a family affair. I'm here with Casey Kerwin's dad. Hello, how are you doing?
We're doing good. This over with.
You gotta love that sentiment. Maybe nerves are kicking in just a little?
Just a little.
Just a little. Now, you're seeing that Casey right now is leading the championship 4. What does it mean for you as a dad to see all of his hard work finally come off and pay off?
He's really been working at this really hard over the last few years, so it's really cool to see him have a really good season. So when there's about 5 to go, I'll probably completely freak, but that's okay.
All right. I'll give you some time to let the nerves settle in a bit. Thank you so much for talking with us. Let's go back to Evan.
Well, this one is really down to crunch time now with 26 laps to go. Again, the battle is for second. Keegan Leahy is continuing to lead this race. It has taken a race win in 4 of the 5 times we've done this format for the driver to get the championship, but right now it is for P2. Kerwin has it. Zelensky wants it. As we welcome Blake McCandless back into the booth from Countdown to Green as Alan and Dale have a championship stage to head over to. That's when you know it's time. It is crunch time. 25 laps to go.
When your name's on the trophy, you have to go present it.
Understandable,
Basically,
right?
we send Dale away. Yeah.
Exactly. But just looking at this battle, though, Keegan Leahy has been a big help for Bobby Zelensky. These two are friends, right? So Keegan Leahy controlling this race can kind of look in his mirror and see maybe if you want to help Bobby in any way, shape, or form, you're going to try to block the dirty air of that 95. As he pulls away, though, that advantage is obviously going to go away for Keegan.
Yeah, and currently, while it's not leading the race, the 95 of Casey Kerwin definitely had the consistency. The last couple races were third and third. That's what advanced him through. Now this is Femi Olat in the 79, currently in the 15th position. Driving for Clint Boyer Racing this year.
It's a good-looking paint scheme. We're talking about the virtual championship here at Phoenix. Well, that paint scheme supporting the NASCAR Championship weekend coming up at Phoenix Raceway. Just a week and change away, so make sure if you're in the Phoenix area, you go and check that one out. I've been able to go to the last 2. Fantastic race weekend for a race fan and a hot-looking ride on the 79.
Well, it's so great having it at Phoenix. Miami for years was a great host city. But much like Miami, Phoenix, it reminds you of that big event town. Super Bowls, NASCAR championships, the biggest things happen in some of these cities. Phoenix is a great host. The track, as you can see right here, puts on great racing. So as you mentioned, we have to set our real World Championship 4 this Sunday at Martinsville, and then we'll be heading out west about a week and a half from now to crown a champion at Phoenix.
And Graham Bolin is under fire right now. This is the battle for 4th position, but Michael Conti, who remember was the first driver eliminated from the round of 10, putting the bumper and the pressure to the 48 machine. So Conti wants 4th, and the 48 car is going to get his hands full with this as the number 95 and 18 pull away ahead of him.
Well, and still there's a lot of prize money on the line for these guys. You talk about Conti was eliminated, but there is still a fair amount of money for these drivers to fight for 5th on back, and these drivers that are locked into the playoffs, they don't have to worry about whether they're going to be back in this series or not. So Conti still has a job in front of him, and even Logan Clampett on the high side. This is his last NASCAR race. He wants to go out with a good finish.
If Conti could finish 5th, that would be $7,500 in prize money. That's about what he got when he won the championship back in 2014.
It's changed a little bit.
How far things have come to this point, and I think that shot off to the back of the 48 gives you a good perspective of just how hounded Graham Bolin is right now. They're stacking up behind him.
Well, because you see the gap in front of him, right? I really believe it's not the 97 and the 8 pushing forward as much as it is the 48 falling back. Now 20 car lengths probably off the rear bumper of the 18. And you see the 18, he is not giving Casey Curran any sort of breathing room. Under 20 to go. We haven't seen an absolute charge out of the 18, but he has continued to fill the mirror, forcing the 95 to run very clean laps. You just wonder who has saved what for tires, as now the fall off well over a second from what they can run on new tires.
We talked about nerves, right? We talked about the experience. Not only has Bobby Zalenski made the playoffs 6 times, but it's his 5th appearance in the Final Four. This is Casey's first playoffs in his 5-year series history, let alone his first Championship 4 appearance. This is the moment that it matters. Bobby Zalenski trying to close in on the 95. Seems at this point that it is a 2-horse race for this championship, second on the racetrack.
Well, and you start to look at for Casey Kerwin, how much did that battle with Graham Bolin take out of his tires? We've seen the effect it's had on Graham Bolin. He's falling well out of the picture. For Casey Kerwin, who again still has a little bit of dirty air to deal with off the nose of Keegan Leahy, does he have enough? Has he saved enough? And Zalenski, who was a part of that battle, but just let Kerwin and Bolin kind of battle it out, how much does he have left? I think it says a lot that he's still a part of the picture. The fact that he can creep forward a little bit, I think, says a lot about the long-run pace in this number 18 car.
Well, we're on board right now with the 27-year-old out of Fresno, California, Bobby Zalenski, the 5th time he has made it to the championship for his best finish, 2nd in 2020. Run down a little bit younger driver, but still very experienced, the 23-year-old Casey Kerwin, just off there, that red rear bumper you see. You mentioned it, first appearance, and then on the left you see both drivers working here on stage at the Hall of Fame.
By the way, their rigs are facing each other. They're back-to-back.
Head to head, and for what it's worth, Bobby is team barefoot.
Yes.
And Casey is team socks. That's a hot debate amongst the sim racers as well. I was joking earlier, it felt like we jumped on a plane in economy class because everyone got comfortable, tossed their shoes off. That is a big sim racing topic, that as well as the different monitor setups, the wheel that Bobby uses. We talk about this a lot on the road races. He's got that formula style open wheel setup as opposed to the stock car one. So there's all those different elements, gloves, no gloves, to make these drivers as comfortable as possible.
Yeah, I'm actually quite shocked that Bobby can find the success with that small of a wheel, right? Because at some of the short tracks you go to, when we see down in mid-corner, we'll see exactly how quick he has the steering set. So you see, just not a lot of turn. I think that's why that small wheel could work. Not even close to 90 degrees versus you go to a place like Martinsville, he must have to run really quick steering to let that wheel work. Although now it seems like under 15 to go, the 18 has turned the pressure up. He's down within a car length of the 95. He's going to try to get a run here off corner exit.
And I tell you what, Bobby Zalenski of our Championship 4, he was probably the most hesitant out of the drivers that I talked to that wanted this to be in person, because you're battling for a championship. He thinks, I want to be at home. I want to be where I'm comfortable. He was probably the biggest proponent of, I'm not as much of a fan of this.
Yeah.
And yet here he is chasing down Casey Kerwin for all the money.
Well, after the last 2 laps, Bobby Zalenski a half a tenth quicker than Kerwin 2 laps in a row. Casey trying to hold him off. You can see where one's better than the other. The 95, good drive off turn 4. It looks like the 18 really has some good entry speed and can roll the middle. The question is, can he get the power down? We go a little bit further back. The 48 now under attack back in 13th for Graham Bolin. And in contact, with a 48 and the 43, and a great save by the 43.
Those are teammates getting into each other, but they're going to hang on and be all right. And Bolin is struggling big time as he now finds himself in 14th. Wilson, we talked about the two-tire call, down in 21st position after these four had ran up front together all night long on the precipice of 10 laps to go. It is Kerwin and Zelensky wanted to duke it out between the two of them.
Yeah, kind of counter move. The 18 had made a run up to the 95's bumper, but then Casey Kerwin found a little bit of grip here, closing in. 10 to go this time by for the championship. The 18th race of the season comes down to 10 laps at Phoenix.
As it stands now, Kerwin is second on track, but that is all that matters. You simply need to beat the other three drivers in the Championship 4 to crown yourself the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series champion. And, well, Casey's got it. There's a look off of the back of him to the gap. His dad in attendance here at the NASCAR Hall of Fame in Charlotte, watching on as the clock ticks down. Less than 10 laps to go at Phoenix, and the gap that Kerwin had maybe 15, 20 laps ago is back.
Yeah, well, and they were so excited. They were eating dinner just a little bit earlier, which, by the way, Kerwin went to the same restaurant that he eats before every Coke Series race. and that, that's one thing about being here in the Charlotte area. He's from Matthews, North Carolina, that it's comfortable. You didn't have to fly. You didn't have to stay in a hotel for 3 days. He got to sleep in his own bed. He was able to be here and comfortable, and it's cool to see those two sharing that moment pre-race. And obviously, Dad's pretty happy now, or at least 8 laps away from being so.
What can the 18 machine of Zelensky find? Look how far your top 3 are from everybody else in the field. You have to look 5 seconds back to find Logan Clampett's number 97 car scored in 4th position. So it is quite a clinic that we are seeing out of Leahy, Kerwin, and Zelensky. With the last couple of laps consecutively, Kerwin better by about 500ths each time around. It's growing at this point.
Yeah, and I think Keegan Leahy, if he wins this race, is going to have to ask himself what could have been of this season, right? Winning the final race of the year, but it wasn't meant to be. For the driver of 2311, his best finish of the year leading into this race was 3rd. While he'll be excited to win the finale, he'll wish he would be one of those championship 4, because a champion's going to be crowned either the 95 or the 18 in its current running position, unless we see a yellow. Closing in, 6 laps to go now.
What a year it's been as well for Team XSET. They're in the battle for the team championship. Both of their drivers have been to victory lane this year with Casey Kerwin and Ryan Luza, and now potentially no more than 6 laps away from a title. It's a redemption night for Keegan Leahy, the 2021 champ, unable to defend his crown this season. What a great statement it would be for the 45 to end this year on such a high note.
It really would be, and it's good for him. Again, he was one of those drivers that's on the cut line of whether he could even be in this series next year. He'd have to fight his way through the offseason, but a statement win, as you said, and again, not bad to win 2 straight finale races, I would say.
Regardless of how many races you've run, how many races you've won, they have to be feeling the nerves now as they close in on 4 to go. Casey Kerwin in his 5th season in the series, his first time making it to the championship 4. Just 4 miles away from a championship.
Won at Pocono earlier this year to guarantee himself into this position. And guys, he ended the round of 10 better than anybody else. 3rd at Talladega, 3rd at Homestead. He was so consistent late, stepping up to the moment as we approach 3 laps to go.
And we talked about pre-race, that moment with Zach Novak. If he doesn't make that move at Pocono, he may not be here right now. He wouldn't have even made the playoffs. So you think back on all those little things you could have done differently throughout the year. Kerwin and Novak's battle could be the difference between Kerwin bringing home $100,000.
Keegan looking in good position to continue to hold on to the race lead. There's no traffic in front of them, which I know can always be a big concern. Again, you see the huge gap back to 4th position on back, but up front now, 2 laps to go from Phoenix. Kerwin still holding on to the top spot in the title fight.
And this is the moment where the in-person all becomes real. You see the nerves on the family. You see the nerves on the driver on stage. A crowd here at the Hall of Fame. Under 2 laps to go, a relatively comfortable lead. Now he's just looking for no yellow and a mistake-free lap and a half.
And clean is his priority right now. Leahy pulling away up at the front of the field. Casey Kerwin going to have 1 lap to go at Phoenix. And he can hear us. He can hear the crowd. He can hear his family as he tries to seal the deal now. Again, a huge story for Leahy to be able to end the season on a note, but what a campaign for Casey Kerwin. First appearance in the playoffs, first appearance in the championship 4, and it'll be his first title. Casey Kerwin is the 2022 eNASCAR champion. In his hometown, with all that is happening this week at the NASCAR Hall of Fame, he gets the job done. And you can see the reaction, guys, from his family in the front row. You can see the reaction from Casey on stage. What a drive for Casey Kerwin, your 2022 eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series champion, and Dad can't stay away.
Neither can Steven Wilson. You saw Zielinski give him a bump, but again, Casey Kerwin has been such a great ambassador for iRacing, for sim racing. It's hard to think of a more deserving champion, and very, very well done for him.
He's the 10th different driver all time in series history to have been able to claim the championship. He joins a list of historic drivers, as we have now had for the first time in series history our 4th straight consecutive first-time champ that has never been seen before. This winning moment is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official fan refreshment of eNASCAR, and the congratulations will continue to roll in, and I think it'll take some time for this to set in too for Casey as he's talking with his crew on the headset, and I'm sure getting a lot of fist bumps.
You see the emotion from the driver. I'm excited to see the driver get out from behind the headrest. This is where really the difference of the live performance is going to be, right? Normally we interview them kind of over the rig. We only get to talk to him there, but not here. He's going to get to go over, receive the trophy from Dale Jr. and an impressive move and a great job parking that thing in victory lane.
And here Phoenix. He comes.
Oh, there's his dad.
And for all of the time that these drivers invest into this, and as well the support from their families to allow them to commit the time to be the very best in the world at what they do, Casey Kerwin is the very best in 2022. He is the champion, and an incredible job for the driver representing the XSET team.
I talked to him before this race. He said 2,000 laps is what I've put in for this race. I mean, just think about that. That is insane, the amount of dedication that all these drivers have, but it's great to see when it pays off.
Great accomplishment, too, for XSET to get a championship. We've seen a lot of the NASCAR teams dominate the past championships. We've seen one with RFR, William Byron Esports, 2311 last year, as an esport as well. For an organization like XSET to come in and be competitive and win a title is huge. And he'll go down the line. Thank yous, congratulations to everybody in the family. And now comes the fun part. All of the worrying, all the practice, that has come to an end. A handshake from Bobby Zielinski and Dale Earnhardt Jr. up on the stage as well, giving him a congratulations. Again, for the first time in his career, Casey Kerwin is eNASCAR's best. We talk about how competitive, right, this series has been. For the first time in series history, we have had 6 different champions over the course of the last 6 years. Now, a lot of that's Ray Alfala's fault. He kind of started to rack them up early on. But 6 different champions over the course of the last 6 years. Definitively, this series has never been more competitive.
Never been more competitive, and really we couldn't be any more fortunate to have the championship 4 than we had. They all qualified up front. They ran up front. I know in the end, the running order might not show exactly what kind of race we had. I know the 10 fell off a little bit on those 2 tires, but I love the call, the gamble to try to get track position. The 48 as well, it kind of went away, but in the end, they were all up there. They forced a great one. It didn't take a win, but I think it only didn't take a win because some track position changed at the pit stop. I think if you put any of these playoff drivers out front, they were going to win the race. And in the end, you got to be excited for Casey Kerwin. Heartbroken a little for Bobby Zielinski. Been here so many times, it's so close. But a class act congratulating his competitor, who he dogged. Now, for the last 45 laps, he did not let Casey Kerwin get away.
Another congratulations there as he talks with Graham Bolin up on the stage. And there are some exciting things that Casey Kerwin must attend to. Let's hand things back over to Alan Cavana, who is standing by with the hardware.
The next impressive stop, the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Trophy for being champion. Dale, first of all, let's get your impression of what we just saw out there on the track.
Yeah, just really, proud of the effort everybody put in to have this event here. Incredible race tonight, and came down to the last run. A lot of drama. You could feel the tension in the air, and love to be able to be here to celebrate it with everybody. This means a lot for me personally to be able to give this trophy away tonight.
All right, let's do it from one Carolina boy to another. Dale Earnhardt Jr., present the trophy.
Here we go. Pictures. I'm not going any higher.
Golly, that thing was massive. What a moment. I can see the sweat dripping off his brow. Dale Earnhardt Jr., thank you so much for all you do for this series and for putting your name on this trophy. Let's talk to the champion himself. We'll bring you out here. How do you describe this moment right now, getting a trophy, the championship trophy from Dale Earnhardt Jr.?
Yeah, I don't even know what to say. It's I've always joked with streaming I need a nice trophy for the backdrop, and I've won a lot of big races, but they never come with trophies, and this thing's even bigger than a stream backdrop, so I may have to work on the camera angle to make sure it gets all in there, but yeah, I don't know. I can't believe it. I don't know. I mean, we started off good. I knew we were good on that first run. Graham and I felt pretty even. I thought I was a little bit better at one point. I just used my stuff up trying to get to him. And Bobby was just insane. I mean, he was so quick the first run. I thought it was really just kind of a race for second. Then the caution came out, which I was kind of happy about because I felt like we probably needed some restart chaos to have anything for Bobby. Yeah, and then just...
What changed after the caution? Because this entire race changed, a little track position, a little beating and banging. What was it like just after that caution?
Yeah, I mean, just intensity picked up even more than it already was. I mean, we made a bit of an adjustment. We were ready for that. And, yeah, just shout out Houston Hamer. I've been, man, me and Houston have worked together for a long time. And, yeah, I mean, just finally get competitive over the past couple years and now be here. It's pretty insane, so...
The emotion is understandable, the trophy, the money, but to do it in front of all these people, to do it in front of your dad, who helped you set up this rig, move it from Matthews just a few miles down the road, set it all back up. What does that mean to you, that hug?
Yeah, it meant a lot, man. I mean, my dad supported the thing for a long time, even with streaming and kind of doing it all full time. It's not a normal job, you know. It's kind of a bit different, and obviously we have about 100,000 reasons to be pretty happy about the decision now. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, my dad's been my biggest supporter since back when I started 5 years ago. So, and also to have my neighbor Dave, his family. Dave was the one who got me into iRacing 10 years ago, and I always went over to his house to watch races. And Doug and Chrissy and Donna. My mom was here earlier. She had to go back and walk the dogs. So they wouldn't pee all over the house. So hi, Mom. Thanks for all you do too. Hi, Annie. Hi, Boo. If you can hear me, I'll be home soon. Don't be too scared.
$100,000. What do you want to do with that?
I have some ideas, but I should probably be a little logical. There's a lot you can do with it, but I don't know. Main thing is just getting this thing home and all set up and go celebrate. Also, got to say a big shout out to Ethan, Gonzo, my spotters. Thanks to them. Rylan and Ben, my friends from school as well, for being here. Cole, my SimSeats friend. I just see you there. You're yelling woo, so I'm saying thanks. Thanks SimSeats too for all they do. Yeah, I can't believe it, man. Yeah, I lost my train of thought, so whatever I was saying, it's gone. But
you can go find it, go celebrate. Casey Kerwin is your NASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series champion. Round of applause. Evan, back to you.
We're back here on the stage with Bobby Zelensky, who comes home in this race third, second in that title fight. Bobby, first and foremost, congratulations. Another incredibly successful year for you and a pretty successful race. Dominated a lot in that first half and then obviously got caught out through the pit cycle. Just tell us about what changed there in the middle.
Yeah, I went in with the lead and had
perfect pit box entry, and luck of the draw. Just had a bad number on the pit stop. Like, nothing I could do about that. Lost the lead. I was 4th. Like, I don't know what else I could have done in that race, honestly. So it's really painful. Everything else considered, like, this was a horrible year for me up until recently. So second's good, but like to make the Final Four 5 times and still not win it, it kills me. And it probably should. But I ain't gonna quit. I'm gonna keep going for it. If I have to be the series Mark Martin, that's an honor because he's one of the greatest. So, that's life. Good job on Casey. He didn't mess up. I was just stuck in his dirty air, and that's how she goes.
Talk about those closing laps, the intensity of it. I've been in racing my whole life, like those last laps as they count down. It looked like you had a couple runs where you kind of got close. You mentioned the dirty air. He did a really nice job of not missing the bottom, not giving you an opportunity. Seemed like he just ran such a tidy line. There was just nowhere for you to go.
Yeah, I mean, he was also quick. He was with Keegan on pace. I was surprised that Graham and Steven didn't have the pace Casey did, but I guess they were just on different sets. That first half of the race, I was like, wow, we are fast. And just pulling away, but I knew it's not going to be that easy. Good job on Casey. He kept the tires on it. Even if he gave me the bottom, I think it's just you get close and you just get too tight. And even when you get under him, it's really hard to pass. So I would have had to hit him, which probably would have done. Wouldn't have wrecked him, but he set the precedent at Pocono. So I just couldn't get to him. I was sweating my butt off, man. I haven't sweat like that ever in a race. I wasn't messing up. I was just stuck. And second.
All right, man. Well, listen, I know it's a disappointing finish to the year, but as you mentioned, slow start, great finish to the year. Go back to the championship 4, and I have zero doubt we probably will see you back here again a year from tonight to try to make another run at it.
Yeah, that would be crazy, but just got to thank everyone at Interstate Batteries, Jacobs Racing, VRS, especially VRS, like Zach Campbell, Coanda, for getting this rig out here. Wouldn't have been able to battle for the win without all my partners.
It's Bobby Zelensky, who finishes 3rd tonight here at Phoenix, 2nd in the championship here in 2022. And to your point, many times he's been here racking up the race wins. Certainly you think we'll see him back.
Certainly so. I mean, but Bobby Zelensky is a name that, there's a reason that he's been in these championship 4s for all of these years, and it's not by accident. It's because of the speed. If anything, this was kind of a surprise of a year, just not having the success we're typically used to seeing. But he still found a way to get here, and I imagine that, again, probably going to find a way to be here next year.
Tied for 5th, Bobby is on the all-time wins list. Certainly more to come for him as he continues on his eNASCAR career. We're going to continue talking with a lot of your top finishers in this one. As we talked about, those top 2 were able to pull away a little bit. Graham Bolin comes home 3rd in the championship. Graham, thank you for joining us. And like we said to Bobby, congratulations. A great campaign for you and a really good representation as well tonight.
Well, Graham, I just want to ask you first off, you get the pole position. You're obviously feeling really good, but just what kind of was it about that battle with Casey? You guys were side by side. Did you think that was for the championship?
Yeah, I did. I tried my best up there, and then we made an adjustment for a short run, and we raised the diffuser off the ground, and then that loses you 2/10 long runs. So that's why I was falling back so much. We played our cards, and you live by the sword, you die by the sword. So I tried my best, and really big congrats to Casey. He's a great teammate. We work on Dead Zone together with setups, so he's a really nice guy, and I'm really happy that he won the championship.
Well, I want to talk about the setting here, right? We made such a big deal about coming to the Hall of Fame. The kind of atmosphere was amazing. Tell me about during the race. When you get up there, you get locked in. I know you're in your rig, you're in your headset, but could you feel it? Could you feel the crowd, hear the noise, understand you were kind of in a different setting? It had to feel something different than what you're normal to and your normal comfort zone.
Yeah, I mean, I felt it, and it made me race harder, but I would say, pace-wise, I was driving at my best possible. Yeah, that last 40 laps, I was straight up drifting the corners because the diffuser was so far off the ground. So, I don't blame anybody. We just played the wrong cards, and we finished 3rd.
Well, congratulations. A great campaign for you and for being the first time out, I think, well represented here in the Championship 4. So appreciate you giving us some time and best of luck. I'm sure we'll see a lot of you next year.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you, Steve, Blake, and Evan.
Your third-place finisher in the championship this year, Graham Bolin, a great campaign for him. 7 top 5s, 7 top 10s, a race win sprinkled in there as well. Again, talking with the people in the room here today, everybody I talked to gave me a different answer on who their pick was, right? I mean, it went to show you how competitive and realistically how good of a shot all 4 of these drivers had at taking home the title fight. And one of the names that we heard a lot over the course of the day was Steven Wilson. He was the man this year. I don't think anybody else had more swagger than you did this weekend. Rightfully so. 4-time race winner, feeling good. Just tell us how your night went.
Off of Casey and Graham on pretty much the same stuff, so I was just trying to get all I could, and on the first pit stop, well, the only pit stop, I slid through my box, so I was like, I don't want to lose 10 spots. There's no way I'm getting all that back, so I took last second 2-tire change, and that ended up just not working at all with it going green. So it was just like a Hail Mary. We didn't have it tonight, but we had fun here, great event, and hopefully we'll be as strong next year.
Well, looking back at the year, as Evan mentioned, right, multiple wins. You got to this point. You now got to feel kind of what the Championship 4 is like, your first appearance in it. Was it what you expected? Was this in-person event what you expected? Was it, how did the nerves work, and what was it like having this live audience?
Oh, yeah, I mean, I never really got as nervous as I thought I would. It was a really cool event, and honestly, there was some questions when it first started, but everyone at iRacing NASCAR did a great job, so hopefully this is a thing that continues in the future.
Yeah, I was a big fan of the live event. I love the cheering and the crowd, and we were wondering about the 2-tire stop, so now I know it's. I listen, as a gambler to a gambler, I like a Hail Mary. Like, you got to do something to keep that track position. So I think 2 tires was the right call. I hate it didn't work out though.
Yep.
Cool. We appreciate your time again, Stephen. Congratulations, an incredible 2022 campaign, and looking forward to seeing what comes next. Steven Wilson as well joining us here on the stage, a 4-time race winner. The family just off camera as well, congratulating him. We will see a lot more from him.
Well, and I know they're all disappointed because they're not hoisting the trophy, and they should be. That's what makes them great competitors. But the difference is when they have a chance to let it all settle in, just being able to come here and take part in this, they should be extremely proud. There are way more than the 38 or 40 drivers we see that want to be in this series. They have made it to this series, then made it into the playoffs, and then made it all the way to the Championship 4. It just takes so much speed, hard work, determination, and they're going to be proud. It's just going to take a little bit, I think, for the, it hurts. It hurts when you're this close to a championship.
Well, it hurts, and you think about just the caliber of drivers that we have, the different amount of experience. Zelensky and Kerwin, who have been a part of the series for a long time, and Steven Wilson, Graham Bolin, 2 up-and-comers in this series. They've been around for, 2 years each, I believe. And so there are drivers who are going to use this experience, I think, to be a lot better. And they'll have this experience. They'll have this championship experience going through the playoffs, going to this live event, learning all the intricacies that we heard Raja Karuth talking a little bit earlier about and how that's going to help them in the future.
And on top of all of this, Keegan Leahy wins the race tonight at Phoenix. We're live in Charlotte. And Keegan, can you hear us?
Hey, yeah, I got you. Hello?
Well, first off, congratulations. Listen, I know this race wasn't what you wanted it to be. Of course, you would like to have been here defending your championship, but what a way to make a statement at end 2022 on a positive note.
Yeah, unfortunately, I haven't had these races when I needed to get the win, but happy to cap the year off solidly, show my pace. I had a few good races the last few races, but they didn't end up going the right way at the end of the races for me. But very happy with this result. Congrats to Casey. I know what it's like. He's feeling really good right now. I can tell you that. Unfortunately, he's having this big song and dance for him right now. I just had to go home and hang out with my family after my win. But good for him. He's enjoying this, I'm sure. Thank you very much to Virtual Racing School for being on the hood this year, and of course 2311 Racing. They've been an awesome group to work with, and I even get to meet a lot of the team in person a few weeks ago. Spent some time with them, and really appreciate representing them.
Well, Keegan is somebody I know who you've won $100,000 before doing this. So do you have any advice, perhaps, for Casey Kerwin here about maybe how to utilize some of that prize money?
Well, Well, he's already got the best steering wheel on the market, from what I can tell. I think he's on the VRS Direct Force Pro. But besides that, if he's anything like me, he's probably trying to make this a bit of a full-time gig, or at least do this as more than just a hobby. So save your money. It's not going to come every year, I can tell you that. But just enjoy the moment. Don't let it pass you up. It's a once-in-a-lifetime experience.
From one champion to another. Keegan, we appreciate you giving us some time as well to chat. Congratulations on the race win, and looking forward to seeing what comes next for you. So that is your race winner tonight, all the way back at virtual Phoenix, and from his home north of the border. Keegan Leahy gets a win in all of this, maybe the most anticlimactic win of the year, but that comes with a cash payout as well. But in the end, it comes down to the battle for the championship, guys. 4 incredibly deserving drivers. You had Bobby Zelensky, the veteran, going up against a bunch of green drivers who hadn't been in this position, but to be fair, none of them had. None of them have been at the NASCAR Hall of Fame on stage for an event like this. I think everything came together well, and it was a great race. Those 4 were tight for the first half, and then in the end, a pit strategy cycle kind of shook things up, and a great battle between Kerwin and Zelensky all the way to the checkered flag.
Well, it really matched the year, right? You couldn't tell which of the 4 was going to win the race, because I couldn't handicap a race all year long. As an owner in this series, my notebook is very thick on exactly who perhaps could be the driver for Letard Esport next year, just because there are so many, right? We've lost 20 to relegation. How many of those will reappear through the road to pro? We'll have to wait through the winter and see. It's going to be a short winter, and these guys are going to be right back at it, practicing, grinding along. It's going to be good to see who finds a little bit more speed in this car. I think this car threw the curveball to a bunch of guys. It's going to be interesting to see who exactly figures it out heading into next season.
Well, I think you know as well as anyone, the off-season is where you can make a lot of those gains. And I'm just excited for all of these drivers who saw what we had here tonight and are able to maybe look at, I want to be here next year. This experience, and trust me, I know I've been a part of this eNASCAR ladder, and the amount of time, the effort that goes in, and sometimes you wonder, is that sacrifice worth it? But to be a part of this event, to go through everything that these drivers did, to be a part of everything, you've heard them all say this was an incredible experience, and I could say just watching it, how cool it is and how much of that sacrifice pays off for all of these drivers who were part of the Championship 4, and of course, Casey Kerwin tonight.
And it's not going to be a quiet off-season for a lot of them, right? For those drivers below the relegation fight, they've got a fight on their hands. They're going to have to fight through that contender series this year, and every single season, honestly, you look at a turnover of about a fifth of the field, at minimum, new drivers. And we talk about the growth of this series. Those guys coming up aren't just leftovers. They're some of the hottest drivers on the market coming up, and it's going to be an incredible battle. I can't wait to see the 40-car field when we get to Daytona.
Well, we need to circle this event. I think hats off to the Hall of Fame, to NASCAR, to iRacing, to everyone who helped put this event on. For the race fans who are watching at home, right? We're in Charlotte. We're at the NASCAR Hall of Fame. It's worth visiting regardless of what's happening here. You put this event on top of it. To think just this weekend we're going to have a spectacular race just up the road in Martinsville. I think you got a few months to be planning. I would have this week circled on your calendar. A year from now, this would be a great trip, and come cheer these guys on in person, because the live audience was a game changer, and I hope it just continues to build.
Shows how far this series has come in its 13-year history, and I expect it's only going to continue to grow. For the last time of this year, though, that is it for us here tonight on site at the NASCAR Hall of Fame in Charlotte, North Carolina. We back, as always, for the 14th iteration of the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series in February. You are not going to want to miss when 2023 kicks off. But until next time, and for all of the hundreds of people who have made this season possible, including everybody who has been a part of the live event here tonight, thank you for tuning in, and congratulations to Casey Kerwin, your 2022 eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series champion.
This is it, guys. Final roll. Nice job, Sean. Look at that shot. All right, guys, you are clear down there. Make sure every board down there is clear. Only 19.
Everything is dead outside there.
I'm looking at this new mountain that I'm about to climb. Knock them out, one by one, and move down the line. You would think that I'm out my mind, but you ain't ruining my focus. around me, you know it's going down. I'm the one that they trying to see, so let's overload them now. I'ma give them what they want, give them what they need. Going for the winning, then they'll see that I made it. Please believe I'm bringing it home. Let's go. I'm going for the win and I'm bringing it home. I take a look around and see that I'm not alone. Everyone around me yelling, let's go. Everyone around me yelling, let's go. Going for the win and I'm bringing it home. I take a look around and see that I'm not alone.
Hello?
Everyone around me yelling, let's go. Everyone around me yelling, let's go. 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 I'm going for the win and I'm bringing it home. I take a look around and see that I'm not alone. Everyone around me yelling, let's go. Let's go. Everyone around me yelling, let's go. Let's go. I'm going for the win and I'm bringing it home. I take a look around and see that I'm not alone. Everyone around me yelling, let's go. Let's go. Everyone around me yelling, let's go. 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 Let's go.
I can hear you on Twitch, Drew.